It was very obvious that Joe was different. I went home and told my wife, Joe Montana is going to start in the spring game for one of the teams. And I could remember to this day, she said, well, who's Joe Montana? And I said, well, he's the guy that's going to put meat and potatoes on your table for the next 4 years.
Well, when we drafted Joe, I knew he was an outstanding athlete. He could really move. He was very quick on his feet, but he had been inconsistent.
He has a very natural instinct for playing the position. There are a lot of things that I think come to Joe very, very naturally. I don't think that they're learned skills. I think they were things that he had as a part of his overall character as he started.
Number one responsibility for a quarterback is to get the ball in the end zone, and Joe Montana just makes good decisions. He, within 1.5 to 3 seconds, a quarterback has to make decisions, and Joe has that instinct to make good decisions, to make the third downs and get the ball in the end zone. So I think
Joe really made me feel that I knew what I was doing, because most things we tried with Joe would happen to work. And so before long, you begin to think, gosh, I'm not a bad football coach, because the design of that play was sort of on the cutting edge, or very creative, and yet it continually would work.
I think I was too disciplined with Joe and took away a little bit of his flair, but I was smart enough to recognize that and give him the flair back. And this flair was oftentimes demonstrated in the huddle.
Joe, as with all fine quarterbacks, great quarterbacks who have leadership ability and the ability to make plays and have developed a history of being able to make plays, they in fact are able to get everybody around them to play at an even higher level.
They began to catch balls they never would have caught before. They truly believed. And they believed in Joe Montana.
And he's done it through hard work, through his talent, and the fact that he's produced in under pressure situations allows you to do it again.
I think the biggest quality Joe has is he can feel the pass rushers and see the receivers.
Joe's best qualities as a quarterback are simply put this way. He can move the football.
One of the qualities about him, I think, that set him apart is his ability athletically to move and slide and escape the rush and make the throws up the field that really are very, very difficult to defend.
So many people have ruled him out, including myself, with his elbow, with his spine, with his shoulder, that he comes back and is ready to go again. Now he
I always said Joe Montana would be playing for the Monongahela Mudcats at the age of 55 for $35 a day because he loves the game so much.
Well, we've just heard some of his former coaches talk about some of Joe's attributes. I think one of the true measures of greatness is, do you have the ability to make those around you better than they really are? And I think indisputably rather, that's what you can say about Joe Montana. He not only elevates their play through his performance, but I think he elevates their play just through his presence on the field. And it's true whether you're talking about sports, business, or in life. That type of person, I think, is rare indeed.
Okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs will kick it off after this commercial message and then a word from our ABC stations.
This
postseason playoffs. The catch by Dwight Clark. Montana then won his first of 4 Super Bowls with the San Francisco 49ers 2 weeks later. The Kansas City Chiefs are now Joe Montana's team, and they are the champions of the AFC West. But today begins the postseason drive to the Super Bowl, and for 37-year-old Joe Montana, the team has changed, but the goal remains the same.
It doesn't matter how many things are in the past, how many you won in the past, but every year the goal is to go to the Super Bowl. The goal is to first make the playoffs and then get to the Super Bowl, and anything less than that, you should feel a little cheated.
The Pittsburgh Steelers face the Kansas City Chiefs in this AFC wild card playoff. Welcome back, Hank! You're just in time for the playoff! It's party time on this riverboat, man. I'm cruising for fun with my ABC fans. I sat down for a card game. The crowd was going wild. I hit them with my straight Bolshevik style. I hollered, get back. Let's clear a lane. It's time to get psyched for this playoff game. Hey, are you ready for some football? It's a postseason party. Now this is big.
City, Missouri on a bright sunny day. The Missouri River showing the effects of a deep chill here in the heartland. But this is also a city fired and turned on by their Kansas City Chiefs. 77,000 expected at Arrowhead Stadium. Tailgating fans have jammed the parking lot since early this morning as the playoff season is about to begin. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gifford with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. We are happy you're with us. It is cold here, about 20 degrees, but as we've already discussed, a good day to play football. No wind blowing. Kansas City coming in at 11-5. They have won their first division title, the AFC West, since 1971. They go against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are 9-7. They were a division titleist a year ago at 11-5, but Al, they have suffered through the second half of the season. They've lost 2 of their last 3. It's going to be difficult.
They'll go as far as their defense can take them because offensively, Frank, this is a low-risk, low-reward team with Neil O'Donnell at quarterback. Barry Foster, of course, has undergone ankle surgery. Leroy Thompson is their ace running back. But defensively, they finished 3rd in the National Football League. To win today, not only will they have to stop Kansas City, they are going to have to create turnovers. And, of course, to get to the Super Bowl, they'll have to win 3 games on the road, a very daunting task. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, they had a team that rarely made it to the playoffs in the 70s and 80s, but they're regular guests now in the 90s.
They really are, Al. This is the 4th consecutive year that Marty Schottenheimer has taken his Chiefs club into the playoffs, and unfortunately for Kansas City, they've had precious little success. How are they going to change that? Well, they went out and got themselves some experience in the form of Joe Montana and Marcus Allen. Today is the 20th playoff start for Joe Montana, and this Kansas City franchise so believes in Montana and Allen that if they start hot today, if they get this game off to a good start, the rest of the team will surely follow. We're fortunate today to have somebody working the sidelines with us. No stranger to a football field, our ABC colleague, Lynn Swan. What's going on down there, Swanee?
Dan, thank you very much. We're talking about Montana and getting pressure on them. This Steeler defense has initiated some new blitzes for this ball game. They're going to try and come at him from the inside so he can't step up in the pocket. But Montana, they told me, has always had a problem throwing in cold weather. But guess what? Montana, for the first time in his career, is wearing a glove just like this. He tried it for the first time yesterday. I caught passes from him today. He gets great rotation. For a few seconds today, he tried throwing without the glove on the hand. He put it back on. So watch him today. I think he's going to have a good one just throwing the football because he's now confident in how he can grip the football. Frank?
Well, I wondered where you got those gloves, Swanee.
Well, Frank, it might be 11:30 in the morning here in Kansas City, but we are ready for some football, and the NFL postseason is underway as the Chiefs receive Gary Anderson to kick off. John Stevens, the former Patriot and Packer, runs it back to the 20-yard line. Rico Mack makes the tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joe Montana, his 20th postseason game. He is 14-5 in postseason, including 4-0 in the Super Bowl. 15th year in the league. Marcus Allen and Kimball Anders in the backfield. Burden and Davis are the wideouts, and Jonathan Hayes more a part of the passing game than ever, the tight end. Aldzot, Grunhard, Shields, a great looking rookie who's done a wonderful job, and Sigler up front. Montana to the air on first down, and over the middle, it's incomplete. The pressure was put on by Kevin Green, and he has made a big difference for the Steelers this season. 12.5 sacks, leads the club. Let's take a look at that Pittsburgh defense. A base 3-4. Davidson, Steed, and Evans up front. Then the linebackers, the aforementioned Green, Kirkland, and Chad Brown, a rookie from Colorado, in the middle, and Greg Lloyd, their big gun. Woodson and Johnson are the corners. Lake and Perry are the safeties. Rod Woodson was the AP's Defensive Player of the Year. Marcus Allen through the middle. Exploits that hole for a pickup of 4 to the 24-yard line. The safety, Darren Perry, comes up to stop him. It'll be 3rd and 6 for Kansas City.
On the first passing situation, we just might advise you also that we haven't told Rod Woodson and Marty Schottenheimer told us that he anticipated this. Rod Woodson will be locked up with Willie Davis, the speedy wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. DJ Johnson be working primarily against J.J. Burton.
3rd and 5 with a ball at the 25-yard line on the opening drive of the game. That's Marcus Allen in motion. Montana, that short drop and a quick pass, and it's knocked down by Deion Figures, their top draft choice from Colorado, who comes in the nickel. And so the Chiefs are 3 and out, and Barker comes in to kick.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers anticipating that it's going to be a short passing game to start this thing with the Kansas City Chiefs, and they are smothering everybody in that 5 to 8 yard range. And the next time the Kansas City Chiefs get the football, I think it'd be well advised to stretch the field a little bit, send somebody deep. The Steelers are hovering close to the line.
Brian Barker kicking, Rod Woodson back to receive it. Woodson takes it at the 29-yard line. And Woodson comes back the other way. And Rod, who must have run 70 yards, nets 3. A 46-yard kick, and Woodson takes it back to the 34-yard line.
Only 3 yards, but a lot of fun to watch.
He'd have lost about 10 yards if it wasn't for Carnell Lake that came back with a big block.
Neil O'Donnell, 4th year out of Maryland, bothered all year with tendonitis of the elbow and a shoulder bruise, but missed only 1 start that on opening day. Hodge and Thompson, the running backs. Graham and Stone, the wideouts. Eric Green is the big guy, their leading receiver, the tight end. Jackson Love, Dawson to the Pro Bowl, Hasselrig, a former Pro Bowler, and Searcy up front. And this is Leroy Thompson, and that's a play you'll see more than once today. They like to keep it on the ground. Their wide receivers are very ordinary. Gain of 3, 2nd and 7. Kansas City's defensive unit. Derek Thomas playing in a down position this year, so it's a base 4-3. Schmitt led the league in sacks with 15. Phillips and Saliamua in the middle. Rogers, Simeon, and March are the linebackers. Albert Lewis having a terrific year. Jay Taylor on the other side. Bayless and Ross. Kevin, the longtime cornerback, was turned into a free safety in midseason. Double tight end set, 2nd and 7. The catch is made by Jeff Graham, and he has the game's initial first down, takes it to the 48-yard line, tackled there by Jay Taylor.
Pittsburgh wastes no time going right against Jay Taylor, who has been the replacement for Dale Carter, the #1 draft pick from a year ago, out with a broken arm. The first pass they throw, they work against number 27, Jay Taylor. Came in a trade from Phoenix. They like him here at Kansas City, but he probably is not the good man-for-man cover that Dale Carter is.
Green sets up on the right side. No score early first quarter. And here's Thompson going nowhere. Stopped 2 yards back of the line of scrimmage by Derek Thomas.
I think Derek Thomas likes to start a game off like that, making a big play on a running play. He's very sensitive to being criticized as a one-dimensional player. We've got a Kansas City Chief down on the field. That's Merrill Hodge. But Derek Thomas is so sensitive to being labeled as nothing more than a speed guy from outside. Look at him fight off the block of the tight end, gets upfield, and makes the big hit for loss. Good play by Thomas.
Hodge down, injury timeout.
Here on Thompson, here's Merrill Hodge, and watch what happens to him as he's hit by Tracy Rogers. Hodge knows the play's over, and Rogers just comes in and bangs Hodge down, and Hodge goes off the field. But as far as Merrill Hodge was concerned, the play was over, and he never saw that one coming.
Hodge walked off unaided, so it's 2nd and 11, and O'Donnell gets sacked at the 40-yard line. The safety blitz as Kansas City sent Martin Bayless in there, and this has been a huge problem of late for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've given up 34 sacks over their last 8 games.
41 for the season, Al, and on a 2nd and long, you could just go to the bank with the fact that Kansas City and Marty Schottenheimer, with his defensive background, is going to come with the blitz. Pittsburgh once again didn't pick it up, and now they are in deep trouble once again. Marty Schottenheimer with that defensive background.
3rd and 17. Hodge is back in out of the shotgun. Under pressure. Hodge on the middle screen. Gets into Kansas City territory. And Merrill Hodge breaks it down to the 27-yard line. So the man who was shaken up spends 1 play on the sidelines, comes back in, and they convert on 3rd and 17 as Albert Lewis makes the tackle, a 32-yard gain.
Well, now that should not work as well as it did. There was no blitz, a straight 4-man rush, a little screen underneath. Kansas City playing in a zone. Somebody should have been able to pick it up. Jaime Fields is looking right at Hodge, but Hodge, who over the past few years has become a playoff player. Performing well, getting the first down out of deep trouble.
Dermontti Dawson with a key block, the center to spring him. First down at the 27-yard line. Here's Thompson behind Hodge. He cuts inside and picks up 2. Martin Bayless making the tackle with 10:35 to go in the opening quarter and no score.
This is good play calling on the part of the Pittsburgh offensive people. Ron Earhart, their offensive coordinator. A nice mix of both passing and running. Kansas City and a lot of people expecting Pittsburgh, if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to do it rushing the football. They've had a lot of success throwing the ball so far, and it's been a very nice mix on this drive.
On 2nd and 7. O'Donnell with a deep drop and great protection and finds the open man. It's Jeff Graham. He takes it to the 15-yard line. Tackled by Bayless. Another Pittsburgh first down.
Oh, and there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever on Neil O'Donnell. And he is an incredibly accurate passer. He does not throw the interceptions. You give him that kind of time. He's not so mobile. He doesn't move around very well. But if you just let him stand back there, he is going to get the completion. Jeff Graham comes underneath the linebacker, breaks out into the open, and O'Donnell with all the time he needed to get the delivery.
Dave Adolph, the Kansas City defensive coordinator, watching his team trying to stiffen on Pittsburgh's first drive of the game. And this is Hodge picking up 5, taking it to the 10-yard line. By the way, on that
I think their left tackle, Al, John Jackson, looked like he got caught up after this play is over. And he's limping badly. Sorry to interrupt, but this is a key member of their offensive line. Dermontti Dawson, their center, is probably their best player, but Jackson is right behind him. And if he can't continue trying to block a guy like Derek Thomas and Neil Schmitt from the outside, there he gets his right leg caught from behind underneath. We got to pay attention to this. This could be critical for Pittsburgh.
He looks all right, though, Dan.
9th play of the drive. It's 2nd and 5. The fake, and then O'Donnell comes back to the near side to Adrian Cooper. Touchdown. Their big tight end is Eric Green. Cooper is the other guy, and the other guy has just scored the first touchdown of postseason play.
Well, he's only 10 pounds lighter than the 280-pound Eric Green. They love to go to both of them. Eric Green, of course, the more celebrated one, but Adrian Cooper, 6'5", 270-pounder, nobody in the coverage. And hurdles the last possible defender, Jay Taylor. I'll tell you, that is a pretty agile big man, Dan.
That's not only the first touchdown of the postseason, it's Adrian's first touchdown catch of the season. He hasn't had one since last year, so how sweet that must feel.
Big 3rd down screen to Hodge, sets it up, 7-0 Pittsburgh. Carr, cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold. Delta Airlines, you'll love the way they fly. And the people at Nike who encourage you to just do it. What Pittsburgh did on that first drive in converting that 3rd and 17 was something that hasn't happened this year to Kansas City. The Chiefs all year long never yielded a first down on 3rd and 15 or longer. But they did there, and then Pittsburgh cashes in on the 10-yard pass to Cooper. And Montana on first down, too high for Marcus Allen. So it'll be 2nd and 10.
When the strength of your team is your defense, and your head coach is a former defensive coordinator, everything is geared around that defense. And when the opponent takes the ball early in the ball game, marches it down the field and scores quickly, psychologically that can be a real blow to your team. And right now Kansas City, in somewhat of a state of wonderment, is what Bill Cowher's Pittsburgh Steelers have done to them early. This is a team that believes and relies on defense.
O'Donnell was 4 for 4 on that first drive. Montana is 0 for 3. And here's Allen exploiting a hole. And a first down. The Chiefs first out to the 40-yard line. Greg Lloyd makes the tackle. 17-yard gain for Marcus.
And the wily, crafty veteran with good running, Marcus Allen, who has meant so much to this Kansas City Chiefs team, lost a little in the shadow of Joe Montana, but he has really reemerged as a genuine star. Once again, now watch the little move to the outside, the plant of the left foot. Maybe the acceleration is not what it used to be, but there's still enough of it that he is a very effective runner, a very heady runner.
7:55 left, first quarter, 7-0 Pittsburgh. Here's Allen on first down, picking up 2. Marcus to the 42. What they've been doing with Marcus of late is resting him a lot. He hasn't played much over the past couple of weeks at Minnesota and last week against Seattle, as Schottenheimer has primed him for the playoffs. In postseason history, yards per carry, minimum 100 carries, nobody's been better than Marcus Allen. 5.75, a spectacular average. Remember, the league average normally is about 4. This year, 3.9. On 2nd and 8, the pass is a little underthrown and incomplete, intended for J.J. Burton, who was covered by Woodson.
Well, right now you've got to say to yourself, how are these gloves that Joe Montana is wearing, how are they working so far?
You know, you touched on something a little earlier too, Dan. Maybe they should be thinking a little bit more about stretching that Pittsburgh defense, because Montana in the last 7 games has not thrown a completion over 33 yards, and the Steelers are up there. They're playing them tight. They're jamming the receivers, and it's going to be difficult to throw underneath. That's where he'd like to throw, but it's going to be difficult.
Well, he got hit on his first attempt, so you can't take that in for anything meaningful. But since then, the ball has been high, it's been low, it's been all around.
3rd down and 8. And Montana this time throws it out of bounds, so he's been high, low, and wide.
All right, it's time to take off the gloves, Bill.
Yep. Yes, you're right.
I don't care how good they felt yesterday or even today, and how good it felt to you, Lynn Swan, on the sidelines. If you're not used to doing something, it's awkward and difficult. And when you play as many years as he has, you're 37 years old. I don't think you start with new toys.
When you've started 19 playoff games without gloves, I'm not sure that the 20th is the right time to do it. Of course, I'm speaking from all my wonderful quarterbacking experience.
Right. And your playoff experience. Here's Barker. Sending it down to the 14-yard line. Hey,
I see.
We cover the earth here. What can I tell you?
The gloves are off up here, too, right?
About 20 degrees in Kansas City, but bright sunshine, cloudless sky. 7-0 Steelers. They have it at the 14-yard line. And this is Thompson taking it out to the 24-yard line. Barry Foster, their key guy last year, but we saw him on a Monday night in mid-year injure his ankle, subsequent surgery. And thus it is Thompson now, their feature back. Pittsburgh at Kansas City, the longest current streaks, most wins on the road versus an opponent. Buffalo's won 7 at New York. The Saints have won 7 in Anaheim, so have the 49ers. And Pittsburgh has won 6 games in Kansas City. The last time Pittsburgh beat the Chiefs in Kansas City, it was at Old Municipal Stadium. First and 10 from the 25. O'Donnell, who was very sharp on that first drive, throws this one too high, intended for Jeff Graham, and the coverage was very good. Jay Taylor right there with him.
Once again, though, good protection for O'Donnell. That was just fine coverage on the part of Jay Taylor. O'Donnell, again, is not active back there in the pocket. He needs to be protected, and he got it once again. Just good coverage and forced him to throw it away.
This is a vaunted Kansas City pass rush. There's Sally Amua in the middle. Nothing but a power rush, then a spin. But he's working against the class center in the NFL, and that's number 63, Dermonte Dawson. There's nobody better in the game right now.
2nd and 10, Thompson in motion, 6:13 to go in the quarter. Merrill Hodge out to the 29-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and about 5. Lonnie Martz makes the tackle.
Again, a good mix by Ron Earhart. That's him in the middle. And, of course, we saw him call one of the almost perfect games early in the year when the Steelers beat Buffalo 23-0, mixing it up beautifully. He's been around a long time. He's seen it all, 37 years as a coach. And here is the youngster that he works under, 36-year-old Bill Cowher.
3rd and a long 4. O'Donnell operates from the shotgun, throws. Catch is made up at the 38-yard line by Ernie Mills, his first catch of the day, and another Pittsburgh first down.
Good concentration by Mills. That's the kind you go back to the huddle and you look at O'Donnell and say, just a little lower, please. I want to play a little more in my lifetime.
Neil Smith, I think, complaining that he was held. All defensive linemen complained that they were held. Another example of good pass protection, and that was a just superb catch with the ball way behind it. Look at that. That is sensational work by Mills.
From the 37-yard line, here's Thompson swinging by Thomas. and then running smack into Kevin Ross coming up in the secondary. Ball loose, but the play is dead.
If you were to draw up a tackle and illustrate it, that's exactly what it would look like. The one that Kevin Ross just put on right there. It's going to be coming at us here on the near side. It is a perfect shoulder tackle, and Thompson will stop immediately. That is where forward progress halts at the moment of impact. Good work by Ross.
Ross missed last week with a hip injury. He's obviously 100%.
On 2nd and 8. O'Donnell throws it away. Good coverage that time because the Chiefs had sent a couple of linebackers. Tracy Rogers was chasing him. The coverage was there, though, and O'Donnell throws it away. 3rd down and 8.
So right about that coverage. They picked up the blitz. Good protection for O'Donnell. He kind of ambled out to the right. Still couldn't find the open receiver. Good coverage back there, number 51 for Kansas City, Lonnie Martz.
With the state of the Chiefs secondary, I don't think they want to gamble very much with a lot of all-out blitzing and force those guys into single coverage back there. It's kind of a quandary for the Chiefs.
3rd down and 8. Thomas gets double teamed and pass is knocked down by Albert Lewis in his 11th year. And Marty Schottenheimer telling us yesterday he's never played better.
Well, he's got 38 career interceptions. He has been to the Pro Bowl 4 times and having just an outstanding year in this, his 11th season. And he gets away with a lot of things, too, because he's been around. He's done it so often. That time he might have slipped his hand in there with the look of the left arm, working on the hip, but he hides it well enough. Fine play.
Mark Royals to kick. Danon Hughes, a rookie from Iowa, back to receive it because Dale Carter is hurt. And from the 10, Hughes brings it back to the 24. Chiefs get it there. 4 minutes to go. First quarter. AFC wild card game. 7-0 Pittsburgh.
Well, they say that most of the heat leaves your body through the head. That's certainly the case with Leon Searcy sitting on the Pittsburgh sideline. And there are the gloves worn at the beginning of this game by Joe Montana, who's decided to go it barehanded.
He has not completed a pass. He was 0 for 5 with the gloves. And without them, well, he's 0 for 1.
Well, he should have been 1 for 1. It was a little high, but certainly catchable by McNair. Take it back, that's J.J. Burden.
Ordinarily sure-handed J.J. Burden. A little more than you would expect Montana to have on that ball, though he has a great underneath touch, and that time he had just a little bit on it.
One thing about those gloves, Dan Marino doesn't have to worry about Montana taking his commercial away from him.
Besides, we're already past the holiday season anyway.
Right.
0 for 6, numbers you don't normally associate with Joe Montana.
2nd and 10 from the 25. Steelers leading 7-0 late in the first quarter. And that's dropped. Willie Davis was there, and Montana now 0 for 7. Rod Woodson with the coverage.
Could have been caught by Willie Davis, but fine coverage on Woodson, who is shadowing Willie Davis around the field. Montana with fine protection. Again, keeping the passes high percentage, throwing underneath, and drawing the type of coverage you'd expect. If the Steelers have been watching Montana, they are aware that principally he has been an underneath and a finesse passer, high percentage stuff.
3rd down and 10. They saw Kevin Green eyeing the snap, and we've got a whistle. Our first of the day. Keith Cash was moving, the tight end. The referee today is Gary Lane.
False start, offense, number 89, prior to the snap, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Keith Cash, a former Pittsburgh Steeler, in the double tight end situation. We talked about it earlier that the last 7 games he hasn't had one over 33 yards. That might have a lot to do with his outside receivers too, who are really not capable of breaking big stuff.
3rd and 15. Montana guns one for a first down. His first completion to Willie Davis. And Joe took a hit. It was Donald Evans who came roaring in to knock him down.
That one he was right on target. Took him took a big shot from Donald Evans, but Willie Davis against a Steeler zone this time. Montana read the zone beautifully, laid it in right where he had to, and paid the price.
When Evans started right up the middle, Montana took that hit flush right after he threw the football, and his ribs were exposed. Joe's right arm had crossed over, and he took the helmet right in the right ribs by Donald Evans. And not only that, then driven into the ground by Evans.
And he will have to come out for at least one play. There's an injury timeout right now as Dave Craig loosens up.
Well, but a good look at the read that Montana had. He had to hold on to the ball till Davis cleared the underneath man. As you can see, they're in the zone, and a good catch on the part of Willie Davis.
It's a good thing he was that open, guys, because any sort of a hit while he's trying to gain control of that football would have jarred it loose. And Montana looks bad as he comes to the sidelines. He does not appear to be full of vim and vigor. Well, and here comes Craig.
As you know, he has missed a lot of time this year. In fact, he took only 56% of the snaps this season, and Craig took the other 44%.
And Montana doesn't exactly have fond memories of the last time he was in a playoff game. Against the New York Giants, it was the shot by Leonard Marshall that broke Joe's hand and all sorts of other problems.
And then, in effect, he didn't play for 2 more seasons because of the elbow and back problems. And we've got flags. Oh, we have 4 flags because of a little skirmish between Hayes and D.J. Johnson. 4 flags came in.
Well, Hayes was involved earlier. Jonathan Hayes, a lightning rod early on here in this ball game. A guy who's really blossomed as a receiver for Kansas City. Marty Schottenheimer told us yesterday he's really become a much better receiver than he ever thought possible.
Well, that's because it never went to him. And when Paul Hackett brought the West Coast offense in, the tight end is such a key part of that offense. And Jonathan Hayes, his largest number of receptions in a given year were 9. He's 24 this year.
But I think his point there, Frank, was that as they are laying out this offense and wondering how big a role is the tight end going to play.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 44. He has been ejected.
Whoa! Oh, that hurts.
First down.
That hurts your team. Get ejected. He is one of the fine cornerbacks.
I think this is a request for an explanation.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened when 4 flags are thrown. I suspected that it might be a little bit more than your normal unsportsmanlike conduct or personal foul penalty.
An irate cower and a jubilant crowd at Arrowhead, and I'm sure a very upset D.J. Johnson that he's out of here.
Well, D.J. Johnson is a guy who, in effect, helped Pittsburgh get here today, because last week as Cleveland was driving at the end of the game, he broke up 2 passes in the end zone where Cleveland was attempting to tie it and send it into overtime, and now Johnson's been thrown out.
And he's one of the better cornerbacks in this game. You don't hear that much about him because of Rod Woodson. He gets all the action over on the other side, and he is a fine performer. They will miss him.
Well, whatever he did, which was way downfield, let's keep in mind that it was seen by lots of people, all of whom simultaneously threw their flags. So this was not an isolated case of just one official seeing something and having to stand alone with it. Everybody saw it.
It's a first down at the 43-yard line. Dion Figures, the rookie, the #1 draft choice. Baptism by fire now. Huge hole through the middle, and breaking it down to the 27-yard line is Kimball Anders.
Kenny Wolf, our producer, is telling us that we're being told that away from the ball, D.J. Johnson kicked one of the Kansas City players. We're assuming it was Jonathan Hayes that kicked him in the head. And that, you don't even get to stay on the bench. D.J. Johnson heads for the locker room.
So far away from the play, we didn't even have the coverage on it. I mean, there's absolutely no call for it. That really hurts your football team.
D.J. Johnson's going to be a free agent after this season. A man desperately hoping his Steelers club wins so he can play again next week.
At the 27, 2:25 to go in the quarter. Marcus Allen gets wrapped up after a pickup of about 4. Levon Kirkland making the tackle. 7-0. The Steelers on top. If Pittsburgh wins, they would go to Buffalo next Sunday, or make it, that's the Saturday game.
Look at Johnson. He's going up the tunnel. As you walk up the tunnel here at Arrowhead Stadium, the fans are right there, and can't speculate as to what happened while he's walking up that tunnel. It doesn't pay to get in any sort of a verbal battle with the fans in the stands. Especially not when you're a target. They can throw something on you from there.
2nd and 6, and Dave Craig, the play fake, and a great catch made in the end zone. J.J. Burton for the touchdown.
Oh, and what a number J.J. Burton put on Rod Woodson. A drive to the inside, a pump fake by Dave Craig, a plant of the left foot, a break to the outside is absolutely a classical zig-out move by Burton. Woodson has been known to go for this kind of action on a receiver before. He's very aggressive, number 26. He's very quick. Look at the move to the inside. The left foot planted. Woodson totally turned around, and then Burton with a spectacular catch because he had to look to the outside to bring it in. That is beautiful.
How great is that? There it is, coming right at us. Boy, and you are so right, Frank. It does not get any better than that, with the receiver making the break to the post and then back to the corner.
Lowry. Wild series. The ejection, the injury to Montana. Craig comes in, Burton the catch, and we're tied at 7.
We'll give you a look here at what D.J. Johnson reacted to. Some sort of liquid is sailing out of the stands. You see it right there, pelting the entire group that's taking them off the field. DJ, the wise thing there, I know they're throwing stuff on you. That's going to happen. Just expedite your departure. Get up the tunnel and get out. And Rod Woodson, the guy who really has to pick up the slack now in the Steelers secondary, feeling a little warm here on a very cold day as he was scorched pretty bad by J.J. Burton.
1:39 remaining in the first quarter. 7-7. Woodson and Dwight Stone are back to receive. Nick Lowry to put it in the air. It's a short kick. Woodson from the 12. Back to the 24. Report from the Chiefs bench. Joe Montana simply had the wind knocked out of him. Will come back. Kansas City drive, meanwhile, helped along by the D.J. Johnson penalty. It would have been 2nd and 12 instead of 1st and 10, 75 yards. 7 plays. J.J. Burton, the 23-yard touchdown reception from Dave Craig.
And I think it says a little something about the quality quarterbacking they have here in Kansas City. Dave Craig is not your average backup quarterback.
67,000 yards between them. That's not bad.
No.
O'Donnell, the fake on first down. Backpedal, sets up the screen. Merrill Hodge, who broke one earlier, is out of bounds up at the 34-yard line, very close to a first down. Martin Bayless running him out.
Well, you don't know how long it'll continue, but in the early going, this first quarter, the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive game plan is set up beautifully. Ron Earhart, the veteran offensive coordinator, they come with the screen when you get Kansas City Chiefs dropping off, and it works. They picked up the blitz. They're giving plenty of protection to Neil O'Donnell, just doing a fine job thus far.
This after they'd gone the last 7 games of the regular season without scoring a point in the first quarter. Stone in motion. On 1st and 10, Thompson goes next to nowhere. He is wrapped up by Darren Mickle. And that was a 2nd and short, and that should be enough as Gary Lane takes a look to move the 6. It is a first down.
Well, the one thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers have seen so far is a good start by their offensive line. There was some early pressure on Montana, but since then, their run blocking has been crisp. Their pass protection has been solid. This is really a good-looking unit, and they have gotten off to a good start.
1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Another screen, this time to Thompson, but he can barely get going. Tracy Simeon is there to knock him down after a gain of a yard on what figures to be the final play of the opening quarter. Bill Cowher, completing his 2nd season, took the Steelers to the playoffs last year, but they were knocked out by Buffalo. Now they come in as the 6th seed. And at the end of the first quarter, it's Pittsburgh 7, Kansas City 7. Back we come from Arrowhead after this commercial message and a word from our ABC stations.
The Next Generation, tonight.
Well, I talked to DJ outside the Steeler locker room. He said the reason why he kicked Tim Barnett was because he felt that Tim Barnett cut him. He went low about the knees after the play was over. He didn't understand why he was ejected because of a personal foul, so I asked him, did you connect on the kick? He says, yeah, I hit him pretty good. Frank?
All right, Lynn, it's 2nd down and 9 as Leroy Thompson takes it out to the 43-yard line. Pelham McDaniels is there to make the tackle.
When it comes to hitting people down on the field, guys, you can get away with some fisticuffs, but a kick is going to get you the boot every time. You cannot kick anybody in this league. The officials will throw you out 100% of the time.
Well, I'm glad they do. It has no place in this game. Well, they acted quickly, and interestingly enough, this is the first playoff game. It might have also been a way to send a message throughout the playoffs, just how much tolerance is going to be allowed.
3rd and 3 at the 42-yard line. The inside handoff out of the shotgun to Merrill Hodge, and he has enough for a first down. He takes it to the 46. Martin Bayless comes up to pop him.
Boy, and you're with us earlier. You saw John Jackson, who had caught his leg under a Kansas City Chief, and he almost left the game. He stayed in, but he is now having a very difficult time, Dan. He had a hard time getting up off the carpet then.
Well, we've seen players rolled up a lot of times, and that looked serious when he went under. I think he's very fortunate to still be in here.
On first down, it's dropped at the 50. That is Eric Green, their leading receiver this season, with 63 catches and averaged 15 yards a reception, which is a lot for a tight end. In fact, this year it was a lot for anybody.
This one could have been caught. He just had a great year, the year that they've been expecting for a long time since they took him first in 1990. Prior to this year, he had 41 receptions 2 years ago, and this year just having a superb season. Big play man, too. As big as he is, he can still break it off.
2nd and 10 at the 46-yard line. And the catch is made by Jeff Graham, out of bounds, very close to that first down marker. ABC's Wild Card Playoff game is being brought to you by the new Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation, and the wine cellars of Ernest and Julio Gallo, who invite you to take a new look at Chardonnay. We caught a glimpse of Neil Schmitt before. He's had a cold and has congestion. He's on the bench. And Derek Thomas has just come off after the last play. He was favoring his shoulder. There's a look at Smith.
Well, that's 23 sacks between them, Al.
So the two key guys for the moment are out as Thompson is tackled by Bayless at the line of scrimmage, the 44-yard line. Smith now back in the game. Now the other report we're getting, bruised ribs for Montana, in addition to having the wind knocked out of him. And they are saying his return is probable. A lot of stuff going on.
Joe has really put together a nice string since the middle of November, where he's been healthy after a rocky first half of the season where he was in and out of the lineup with a variety of problems, the biggest a bad hamstring, and now it's ribs that have forced him out.
2nd and 10 at the 44-yard line. O'Donnell rolling to buy time, a lot of time, but the coverage was there in the Chiefs secondary, and Neil Smith forces him out of bounds.
Well, I think O'Donnell had somebody change that play up on him. They had no one going deep whatsoever. They had about 3 wide receivers within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and O'Donnell is not going to not the kind of guy that's going to turn something like that into any kind of advantage for Pittsburgh.
And I think Neil Smith wanted to do more than just force Neil O'Donnell out of bounds.
Watch this, O'Donnell looking down. Nobody's there. Stone hooks up. Jeff Graham hooks up. The Chiefs defense just smothers it, and they lose yardage.
3rd and 14, so both Smith and Thomas are back in now. O'Donnell, good protection, finds the open man. That's a first down to the 28-yard line. The catch made by Ernie Mills. his second of the afternoon.
Wow, but what a pass on the part of O'Donnell. He had that much celebrated tendonitis early in the year, and they joked about it and kidded about it, and whether he could throw this week or whether he couldn't throw another week. But this one, he really got in there. The coverage again by Taylor as they come back to the man who's replaced Dale Carter. But that was a well-thrown football by Neil O'Donnell, and he was well protected again.
A perfect pocket up front. Watch how O'Donnell is able to step into his throw. It's all starting there for Pittsburgh.
Here's Thompson to the 24-yard line. That's a gain of 4. 2nd and 6. 11:20 to go first half. 7-7. Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City. It opened in 1972. So the Chiefs have played here for 22 seasons. This is only the second postseason game in the history of Arrowhead Stadium.
I played in the very first game ever played here back in 1972, a preseason game between the then St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a big tussle annually for the Governor's Cup. Al, you should have been there. It was special.
Yeah. 2nd and 6 as O'Donnell throws. Stone cannot stay in bounds, and a flag is down on the other side of the field.
Never did control the ball, obviously. The official right on top of it, but this was the flag that was thrown on the opposite side of the field, and the holding indicated against the Steelers, and also now Kansas City. Either that or they made a mistake. We're either going to have an offset or somebody made a mistake indicating the first foul.
Defense, number 54. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Tracy Simeon.
An erroneous point the first time around by Gary Lane.
Reverse angle.
That's could have been. Here's Green on his release, and there is the grab by Simeon.
It's a handful too.
Yeah, that's. You ought to be allowed to grab that guy. He's too big to cover any other way.
1st and 10 at the 19-yard line. Here's Thompson. And he gets by Taylor and picks up about 6 yards before Kevin Ross forces him out of bounds.
Well, if Jay Taylor thinks he's going to hand fight Leroy Thompson down to the ground, that is not going to work, Mr. Taylor. That type of an effort coming up in run support against a back of this quality in the National Football League just is not going to get it. We saw Kevin Ross make a form tackle. This is not a form tackle. This will not be put on a loop and shown to kids. That's the wrong way to go about it. And Kevin Ross has to come over and clean up.
2nd and 6 from the 15. Here's Merrill Hodge for a couple. Takes it to the 13. It'll set up a 3rd and 4. Darren Mickle makes the tackle.
Steelers moving into Eric Green, the big tight end range. I like to throw to him down here as we take a look at the numbers we spoke of a while back in postseason play by the part of Merrill Hodge, of course, playing a much bigger role, the former 3-time leading rusher for the Steelers this year because of the injury to Barry Foster in that 8th game.
3rd and 4. 9:45 left in the half. 7-7 the score. O'Donnell throws incomplete. Good coverage that time. Jeff Graham, the intended receiver.
Yeah, they're doing everything but mugging Eric Green coming off the line of scrimmage. I'm sure he was the intended receiver at that point, but they were all over him, hammered him initially, and then they just grabbed him about 6 or 7 yards downfield. Eric Green couldn't figure out what are they doing to me, he's saying. And there is there is the waltz. Now the grab of the jersey.
Well, you're allowed to ride him for that 5 yards as long as you're not holding him. That was Derek Thomas working on Green.
30-yard field goal attempt for Gary Anderson is good. He made 28 of 30 during the regular season. So the Steelers pick up 3 and lead by 3.
Marbles is a game.
Look. They're taping the ankle of Neil Smith on the sidelines. We've got a great shot here. Watch him. That's Leon Searcy with his back to us, number 72. He comes off on Smith. Watch his ankle right there. You see it roll? And Neil Smith came off limping pretty good. And a good look there of his foot being grabbed by that artificial surface and rolling to the outside. They tightened up his tape job, and I'm sure that he'll be back in the ball game. It's a good thing he's got some flexible ligaments and tendons down there.
Thomas plays that down position, but that was seriously 304 pounds. He just buckled him.
That's some good power.
And Montana appears ready to come back in the game. You caught a glimpse of Joe. Anderson kicks off. It's taken 4 yards in. John Stevens is going to come out with it. Good decision. Instead of getting it at the 20, they get it at the 31-yard line. Darren Perry makes the tackle. KC has it there. Joe coming back into the game with 9:23 left in the half. Pittsburgh 10, Kansas City 7.
C.
On this early January afternoon, Kansas City a place for all seasons.
The weather is different things to different people. That's Mark Spitz, I believe, preparing for another comeback.
All right.
They'll be playing hockey on that pool tonight.
A hearty soul out there today.
1st and 10 from the 30-yard line, and Marcus Allen gets knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Levon Kirkland. No gain. 2nd and 10. Montana is back in the game with 9:10 to go in the half, and Pittsburgh leading 10-7.
Boy, the Steelers defense has got a lot out of Levon Kirkland and Chad Brown, 2 new inside linebackers. Brown a rookie and Kirkland only his 2nd year. They replaced veterans at those inside linebacking positions because of injuries, and they have done very well.
2nd and 10 from the 29-yard line. Marcus Allen too high. It's the 2nd time that Joe Montana could not connect with Marcus on a pass, once with gloves and this time barehanded.
That was a full blitz by the Steelers, one of their rare blitzes. Montana read it all right. Allen read with him, just off the fingertips.
Ball, for whatever reason, just floats on Joe, and it has been a very erratic start for the great one.
He is 1 for 9 for 25 yards. 3rd and 11 at the 29-yard line. Willie Davis in motion. Joe steps up. Joe finds the open man at the 42. Flag goes down. Barnett makes the catch. Momentarily has the 1st down, and let's see about the call.
I just say yesterday when we asked Marty Schottenheimer to talk about Montana, one of the things he likes so much about him is the way he moves in the pocket. As you see the indication of holding going against the Steelers, but that was a good example of it. Kevin Green
holding,
pressuring.
Defense, number 37. Penalties decline. 1st down.
It's Carnell Lake holding, but it was Montana feels that pressure so well. There's Carnell Lake, number 37, up on the line of scrimmage. No question about that call. As he grabs on to Keith Cash and draws the flag.
That will rarely go undetected.
15-yard gain. 1st down at the 44-yard line. Chiefs trail by 3. Montana, and again over the middle. This time it's Keith Cash, a tight end, and he picks up a Kansas City 1st down, taking it to the Pittsburgh 45-yard line.
Quick 2 completions. You forget about all the incompletions. That time, such a touch on it. Nobody around Cash, and Montana almost caught the ball for him. He put it in there so delicately. Cash with just a little turn in between linebackers, and Montana with the perfect touch and the perfect read.
Well, it's really a good part of the field for Kansas City to be working. Frank, you touched a moment ago about Brown and Kirkland both being really just 1st-year players in the middle of the field. It's a smart place for Kansas City to be.
And Cash shaken up comes off as the handoff is taken by Kimball Anders, getting to the 36. That's a gain of 9. He's tackled by Dion Figures, who normally would play in only the nickel and dime packages, but with the ejection of DJ Johnson, he's in there all the way now.
So there you have a rookie in Figures. The nose tackle, Joel Steed, in his 1st starting year, 93. Brown is a rookie at inside linebacker. Kirkland's a 2nd-year player, but just his 1st year of starting. There's a good look at Steed. This is a very young, a very active, but inexperienced group in the middle for Pittsburgh.
2nd and 1, so Montana off the play fake gets sacked. It is Gerald Williams who comes in to knock him down back at what would be the original line of scrimmage, the 44-yard line.
There's a guy that Pittsburgh needed to have back, and they got him back at the right time. He's been a good player for this franchise for the last 8 years. This is solid coverage downfield. Joe goes right, sees nothing, tries to come back left, and finally Williams got there. Dom Capers, the defensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it must be a heated booth where he is. He's up there in a golf shirt.
3rd and 8, just inside the 44. Davis in motion. No play.
Delay. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
So it'll be 3rd down and 13 now. Kansas City very much still trying to get in sync offensively, not only today, but for a good part of the second half of the season. I mentioned that during the pregame show, Montana, very honest in assessing his performance this year, in one word said average.
And against Pittsburgh, he has been less than average. Only a 69.8 career rating against the Steelers.
3rd and 13. He was looking for the screen. That wasn't there. Now looking to scramble.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, and he gets taken down at the 41-yard line by Brian Hinkle.
There were 77,000 collective breaths that were held here at Arrowhead Stadium.
77,001, I think.
Yeah.
Right there.
Just looks a little frail out there, doesn't he? But he always did.
Well, you worry about a couple things. You worry about the hit, but when a guy's got a chronically bad hamstring, when he's running like this on a cold day, that's a perfect opportunity to pop that thing.
Not to mention brittle bones.
Oh.
Kansas City to punt. Barker descended down toward Woodson. Woodson's going to let it go. The kick is into the end zone.
That's not the punt he was looking for.
5:23 to go, first half.
That one that Marty Schottenheimer was looking for also.
Leroy Thompson, he's stopped by Joe Phillips. Thompson played at Penn State. It's funny, Blair Thomas was the big back there and very heralded coming out of Penn State, winding up with the Jets. But Thompson was there, and Gary Brown, the sudden star now at Houston, was also there in the same backfield with Leroy.
Funny how that works out, and you wonder how long the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be able to keep two talents like Leroy Thompson and Barry Foster on the same roster.
2nd and 9 from the 21-yard line. And Dwight Stone makes the catch up at the 27. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Neil O'Donnell with a strong arm challenging Albert Lewis, the all-pro cornerback, one-on-one with Dwight Stone. You don't want to do it too often. Lewis is a gambler. He will make the move on the ball as good as anyone in this game. Still has the quickness even now in his 11th season, but O'Donnell has a strong arm.
How about Albert in his special teams play? Blocked another punt for a touchdown last week against Seattle. His 11th blocked kick in his career.
Neil Schmitt, who's been in and out, is back in on 3rd and 3. O'Donnell for Graham, who got out in front, makes the catch, and he's out of bounds at the 38-yard line. He'd gotten behind Albert Lewis.
Well, Charles Mincy or Albert Lewis, one of them made a big mistake. O'Donnell, had he seen it a little earlier, might have got 6 points out of that.
Albert might have tripped up on his own guy. There was two Kansas City guys on the right side of your screen. Albert was down on the ground, at least had a hand down on the field, and he was scrambling to get back in on it. Albert Lewis was covering the receiver to the inside. Right there, you see, and Albert Lewis actually tripped over his own man.
From the 38, here's Thompson on first down. Down to the 37, a gain of 1.
You mentioned the depth at running back when Thompson came in and from Penn State. He was a 6th-round draft pick, and up until the time that Barry Foster went down in the 8th game on our Monday night game against Buffalo, he had only carried the ball 55 times in 2 years. You understand that because Barry Foster was such a major part of the offense till he got hurt. Thompson has shown awfully well.
2nd and 9. They have Stone lined up in the backfield, and Stone, no stranger to carrying the ball, takes it to the 32. Normally he lines up as a wide receiver, but he carried the ball 12 times this year and averaged 10.1 yards on the ground.
that little twilight zone now. Third down and a little more than 3 yards, close to 4 yards. Where in the past they've been so effective with their big tight end Eric Green, but Kansas City doing a fine job chucking up Eric Green, not letting him off the line of scrimmage.
3rd and 4. 2.5 minutes to go. First half. Steelers leading 10-7. A little fake shovel and an end around to Stone, but read very well by Kansas City, and he's tackled at the 36-yard line.
Well, they've been running that all season long. Kansas City obviously well prepared for it. They also tried to take it back to the short side of the field. Stone had nowhere to take it. And Kansas City with a good defensive read.
So it's 4th down coming up, and we come to the 2-minute warning with the Steelers up by a field goal.
Arch rivals collide in game 2 of our doubleheader next on ABC.
It's 4th down now. That last play, a 3-yard loss by Dwight Stone, may have been just enough to take the Steelers out of field goal range. It would have been a 49 or 50-yard kick for Gary Anderson. He remains on the bench now, because now you're looking at a 53 or 54-yard kick.
Boy, this is a gutsy call here, Al.
4th down and 7. At least they're going to line up as if to go for it. With 2 minutes to go, Pittsburgh up by 3. And O'Donnell throws it, and it is dropped at the 31-yard line by Ernie Mills.
Boy, strange series. They run Stone out of the backfield, a wide receiver. They run him on a reverse on 3rd down. They take themselves out of field goal range. Now they get the incompletion. Plenty of time left for Kansas City.
Feel better fast.
This our first of 2 from the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. At the conclusion of this one, the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions, who met last week. The Lions gaining home field advantage with their win, locking up in the NFC wild card game. Following this one right here on ABC. Now, after they cannot convert on 4th down, Kansas City takes over, and Montana's pass is through the hands of Willie Davis. A little high, but very catchable. Chad Brown came charging in to knock Montana down. Joe is now 3 of 12 for 51 yards.
You look at the shadows on the field, you know that Willie Davis was looking right back into the sun. See the shadows? Montana throwing right on the shadows. One that could have been caught, perhaps should have been caught, but nevertheless, Willie Davis looking right back into that settling sun.
1:51 remaining in the half. Chiefs have all of their timeouts. Pittsburgh on top 10-7. Montana throws underneath to Allen. Nice spin move to get away, and then he takes it to the 50. Carnell Lake couldn't make the tackle. Left in his tracks in the 1st down. Darren Perry finally stops him.
That's almost not fair, Frank.
Yeah, but that's sure isn't it fun to watch? Look to the veteran, to the great all-pro, to make the play when you need it, and watch him spin away from this tackle. Beautiful.
From the 49, he throws an out to Cash, but that's only a 3-yard gain. Keith Cash out of bounds at the Pittsburgh 48, 2nd and 7 with 1:21 remaining.
It would mean an awful lot to Kansas City if they can move the football. They have been sputtering and not getting it done throughout the entire first half. They're still, however, within 3 points of the Steelers. If they can get a drive, get some points up there, if they can get a touchdown up on the board, it's going to make a big difference to this team in the second half.
They have 1:21. 3 timeouts. Joe Montana at quarterback. Perfect time enough to go have a sandwich when it's over.
2nd and 7 from the 48. The blitz, it's picked up. Cash makes the catch. He gets to the 43. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Tackled by Gary Jones.
Montana looked to the sidelines.
Kansas City will use its first timeout.
He didn't really want to. He looked over and Marty said, yeah, let's take it. So they'll play coming up.
Freeze sensitive from Old Spice.
At halftime, Marcus Allen will be featured, and we had a chance to visit with him yesterday. You'll see that. Brent Musburger, Dick Vermeil are in Pontiac, Michigan, to tell you about the Lions and the Packers coming up. We'll sum up the first half here, which at the moment sees the Steelers leading 10-7, but the Chiefs at the Pittsburgh 43-yard line come up to the line of scrimmage, 3rd down and 2. Kansas City with 2 timeouts remaining. And they try to get the first down on the ground, and Marcus Allen with that second lunge just may have done it. If nothing else, he came a lot closer. Evans is there to make the tackle. It does not appear that he has it.
No, this would have to be the spot of the century to pick up the first down. And Kansas City, in the confusion after that play, let about 7 or 8 extra seconds burn off the clock. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th effort here by Marcus Allen will almost certainly leave them a tad short.
For the Big Plus dealer nearest you, call 1-800-GET-BIG.
Watch Marcus Allen right here. He loses a shoe, but he runs into his own guy, Barnett, who ends up knocking him to the ground. I think Marcus probably would have driven far enough forward to pick up for the first down.
One thing you can count on, he's going to get it again. He is the guy that Marty Schottenheimer will just openly tell you, short yardage, goal line, I want the football in Marcus Allen's hands. He can do magic.
4th and a short 1. They have 1 timeout left, 59 seconds remaining in the half. Allen lined up behind Montana. The fake, and then Joe goes down, and Joe is tackled at the 49-yard line. So Kansas City risking it at midfield, going for it, and now Pittsburgh's in great shape at the 49-yard line, and the Steelers have all 3 timeouts remaining.
I think he ran into Marcus. I think Joe and Marcus tangled legs, and that's what drove Montana to the ground. It was a play action fake. Everybody in the stadium expecting Marcus to get it. Let's watch their feet. Yep, right there, their feet collided, and Joe ends up just going down, and all of a sudden what looked like a promising opportunity for Kansas City now looks like another shot at Pittsburgh putting some points on the board.
Jonathan Hayes, there it is again. Jonathan Hayes, the tight end, was the intended receiver. He put on the block. That could have been a big play, even a touchdown.
First down, Pittsburgh out of the shotgun. And everybody covered.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's been running an awful lot of screens so far in this ball game, and that was well defensed by Kansas City. Jaime Fields, the linebacker, the rookie, really showing more savvy than you'd expect from a rookie in a playoff position. There's Fields right there. Very popular guy.
Man, he's only 5'11". That's small for a linebacker, but very active. And they like him a great deal. 4th-round draft pick this year.
And very wise. He played that screen well.
2nd and 10 at the 49. Steelers lead by 3. And falling down was Eric Green. The pass was right there, and Green just slipped to the turf. 3rd down. Derek Thomas putting the pressure on O'Donnell.
John Jackson, the left tackle, we talked about how he got hurt early. He's really struggling against Derek Thomas. There's Jackson right there. Thomas that time just threw him out of the way and came back to the inside. Watch this move here by Derek Thomas. He's going to go upfield and then work back inside, and Jackson that's not his game. He's gamely trying to keep this guy away from his quarterback.
3rd and 10. This time he gets help on Thomas, and the pass thrown into coverage is incomplete, but there is a flag down.
Neil Smith trying to anticipate a count, trying to get a rhythm from Neil O'Donnell, and he just guessing with the snap count was offside.
By a bunch.
By a bundle.
Offside, defense, number 90, 5-yard penalty, remain 3rd down.
Well, this guy makes a living out of making other people jump, but you could see Neil Smith was a full stride across the ball.
Third and 5 at the Kansas City 46-yard line. 41 seconds. And 3 timeouts at the Steelers' disposal. With protection, finds Graham over the middle. First down at the 35-yard line. Martin Bayless makes the tackle, and the Steelers utilize their first timeout with 33 seconds remaining in the first half.
Live and only on HBO.
Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf. First postseason game. AFC wildcard playoff. Pittsburgh 205 total yards. KC 140. Montana's had a bad first half.
But Neil O'Donnell with 151 yards passing on his way to, if he keeps it up, a projected 300-yard plus day. And that is not, I don't think, what the Kansas City defensive coaches, Frank, thought that they'd see from the Pittsburgh passing game today.
And I know you like this part of it. Great protection for O'Donnell by the Steelers offensive line against a very tough pass rushing Kansas City defense.
We have a discussion going on down here on the field. There's been no play, been no flag. You wonder if maybe some confusion over the clock or the spotting of the ball. It's
Gary Lane is the referee.
Yeah.
Checking with one of the sideline coordinators with 33 seconds remaining. 2 timeouts left for Pittsburgh. Right now they are still outside Gary Anderson field goal range with the ball at the 35-yard line.
Gary Anderson didn't even try a 50-yarder, did he, this year, Al?
He did not. You know, an amazing thing in the National Football League this year with all of the talk about field goals, do you know that more than half of the attempts from 50 yards and beyond
there was
were
an error
good?
in starting the clock. Please set the game clock to 35. If it cannot be set, we will keep the playing time on the field.
2 more seconds, but 61 of 120 field goals were made from 50 and beyond this year. Amazing.
You would have thought that percentage would have been a lot lower than that. It just speaks volumes about the quality of kickers in the National Football League and how proficient they are becoming at that kind of distance. Remember, remember, it wasn't that long ago that a guy like Gogolak was an oddity being a soccer kicker. Look at that.
Yep.
And not putting Gary Anderson down either. He was 28 of 30, so they know his parameters.
What a huge increase, though, from 18% to 51%. And, of course, there's a Hall of Famer, Jan Stenerud, that toiled the best part of his career here in Kansas City.
And first down, O'Donnell over the middle. He's been living over the middle, but too high. Good coverage that time. Eric Green, the intended receiver.
That was Martin Bayless, and how many times do you see tight ends the size of an Eric Green going downfield being covered by a linebacker? Well, that shows you the respect that Kansas City has. They put their safety man on him man for man. They tuck him at the line of scrimmage, but they do respect this big tight end Eric Green, who came in with the 63 receptions.
Putting a safety on Green is good for the coverage part of it. The problem is then going to come if Green happens to catch the ball. What's a guy like Martin Bayless going to do with it?
Take a long ride.
You'd like a safety for the coverage, but you'd rather have a linebacker for the tackle.
Green, who led the team in receptions this year with 63, has none today. On 2nd and 10, a little shovel. They like this play. They run it a lot. Merrill Hodge picks up about 9, and now they are clearly in Anderson's field goal range with 25 seconds remaining. Jaime Fields with a tackle.
We know John Jackson is healthy. He pulled from his little shuffle pass out to the left, and it was John Jackson who made the block out in front that sprung the play for the extra yardage.
Well, it's a good play to run right at Derek Thomas. Watch Thomas. He's untouched. He tries to get blocked by the outside. Stone comes in, but that's taking advantage of Thomas's upfield burst. You can get around a guy with a play like that if he goes where you think he's going to go, and more often than not with Thomas, that's straight at the quarterback.
3rd and 1 at the 26-yard line. 25 seconds left in the half. 10-7 Pittsburgh. Hodge picks up Thomas. The catch is made by Mills. Mills with a touchdown.
Oh, and what a move by Mills.
He says Marcus isn't the only guy that can spin on this field. Take that, Marcus Allen. I can do it myself.
Boy, this has been an Ernie Mills first half. He's made some big plays. The 3rd wide receiver for the Steelers.
Well, the gamble on 4th down by the Kansas City Chiefs that ended up with Joe Montana on the ground backfires in the biggest of ways.
Remember we talked about Jay Taylor early in the game, that they were going to work on him? Well, he's replacing the injured Dale Carter, and he wasn't in bad position for the coverage. He just didn't make the play after the reception.
Pretty bizarre sequence of events as Anderson boots it through, because originally Pittsburgh took themselves out of field goal range. They went for it on 4th down, didn't make it. Kansas City then goes for it on 4th down. don't make it. And all of a sudden, the Steelers just trying to get into field goal range. Instead of 3, wind up with 7 and lead 17-7 with 18 seconds remaining in the half.
Big play by the unheralded Ernie Mills, the 3rd-round draft pick a couple of years ago. Bill Cowher, the fiery enthusiasm on the sidelines. One of the guys, if you will.
Well, it's not often your team's the beneficiary of a turn of events this quickly in these type of playoff circumstances. That was really a wonderful thing that has happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're looking at either going into halftime tied at 10-10 or even trailing, but instead they're going to go in with a 10-point advantage.
You know what it also does, Dan and Alan, we've talked about it. This is a very noisy stadium. It's they can really disrupt your play calling, your changes at the line of scrimmage. I'll tell you, the Steelers are taking this crowd right out of it.
I think some of the noise here is cut as well by how cold it is today. Everybody's wearing gloves. Everyone is muffled. They're wearing ski masks, scarves across their faces. It's impossible for this crowd.
Cue her to do that.
Thank you very much, Greg. This is not the normal Kansas City crowd. You're right, but I think it's because of what they're wearing.
Even Montana came out wearing gloves, and that didn't work.
No, that didn't.
Taken at the 11-yard line on the kickoff from Anderson, and that sort of sums up Kansas City's first half. Stumbling and bumbling as Todd McNair goes down with 13 seconds remaining in the first half.
You know, if I was a Kansas City player, I wouldn't want to be looking at this either.
If the Steelers win this game, they would play in Buffalo next Saturday. If the Chiefs win this game, they play in Houston next Sunday. And on a kneel down, this first half comes to an end.
Neither one of those trips sounds very promising to me.
Well,
Houston is so hot.
The loser watches it on television.
Yeah. Houston is hot in, what, 11 in a row, and Buffalo's in Buffalo.
That's the end of the first half with the Steelers leading 17-7. Marcus Allen coming up as we return with halftime activities after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC station.
ABC Sports coverage of the AFC wildcard game brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for a crisp, clean, classic taste. Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. And AT&T, we help put your world within reach.
Pittsburgh winning just about all of the battles in the first half, certainly on the scoreboard where they're up 17-7, and they have more rushing yards, more passing yards, and a huge advantage in time of possession.
I think it's really incumbent, Dan, on the Kansas City defense to put a little pressure on O'Donnell. If they don't, and they did sack him a couple of times, but he's had all the time he would ever want to throw the ball. He's a quarterback that's easily been sacked during the season. He's given up, what, 41 times he's gone down. The Kansas City, except for those 2 times, they've given him all the time in the world, and he has a superb arm if you give him the time.
And I'll tell you how Kansas City has won a lot of their games, too. They score defensively. They have the type of athletes that force a sack. We saw it in the one Monday night game. Derek Thomas forced the fumble on a sack. Dan Saliamua picks it up and runs it in for a touchdown. They need some type of a spark, and maybe it's just going to have to come from their defensive team to get this Kansas City ball club moving.
Montana loosening up. You saw Rod Woodson back to receive the kick. Nick Lowry to put it in the air. Temperature, which was about 20 at game time, probably up to the mid to high 20s right now. Light breeze, clear skies, and a big crowd. But the Pittsburgh Steelers right now 30 minutes away from proceeding, and the Chiefs 30 minutes away from going home or staying home. At the 7-yard line, it's Woodson. Not past the 40, up to the 47-yard line. So a big second half run back. And there are the numbers for Neil O'Donnell. Very efficient in the first half. A 41-yard Woodson run back.
You could see that Woodson wasn't even challenged as he went upfield until he crossed the 40-yard line. Superb blocking by his special teams mates. No one from Kansas City touched him until the tackle was made by Mincy after he crossed the 40-yard line and ended up all the way out to the 48. Call it what you want. Good blocking, poor coverage, or maybe some of both.
Thomas and Schmitt are both out of the game as we start the second half. Whitestone makes the catch, and he's out of bounds after a gain of about 4. So Derek Thomas and Neil Schmitt each begin the second half on the bench. Their spots taken by Darren Mickle and Pelham McDaniels.
Eric Thomas, we showed you earlier, had his ankle twisted under him on a block by Searcy. Neil Schmitt came into the game with a lot of congestion, a heavy cold, and these are the two guys that you want on the field, Preston O'Donnell, and they're both on the sideline.
Boy, they're just standing side by side on the Chiefs sideline.
They picked up 23 of the 35 sacks during the regular season. Here's Thompson. He takes it to the 45. It'll set up a 3rd and 3. Tracy Simeon makes the tackle, and Neil Schmitt about ready or trying to get back into the game.
Again, fine play calling by the part of Ron Earhart. The Chiefs in a blitz from the opposite side of the run. They pick up about 7 yards. Good old boy, been around 30. He's been coaching in pro football one more year than Bill Cowher was born.
And Cowher smart to tap into that experience.
3rd and 3. Here is Thompson. Gets outside a Hodge block, but comes up, I believe, a little short of the first down. Going to be very close. Dan Saliamua makes the hit. Martin Bayless trying to help the officials spot the ball. Very close. Gary Lane is the referee. Says bring in the chain.
Talking to Bill Cowher yesterday, we asked him some really important penetrating questions like was his office as nice as Marty Schottenheimer's? Marty Schottenheimer's office here in Arrowhead Stadium is a real beauty, looking out over the stadium, its own luxury box and everything else. And Bill Cowher responded, I don't even have a window in my office.
Hey, when you talk to the two of them, though, Al touched on it, Bill Cowher worked under Marty Schottenheimer for 7 years, but he also played under him as a player with the Cleveland Browns for 3 years. And you almost get the same answer. You ask Marty something, he's, well, we don't want to turn it over. We'll play good defense, want to run the ball. And you get the same thing when you talk to either one of them.
Well, you've got a critical play coming up here in the sense that it's a 4th down and an inch. The Steelers at least are going to line up as if they're going to go for it.
This is amazing that he's going to do this. Protecting a 10-point lead. This is, if they do indeed run a play, Bill Cowher is feeling really good about the way things are going today.
Yep. And they do indeed run a play, and Thompson picks up the 1st down. And he feels even better about the way things are going today, does Cowher.
Dangerous that is to do on that 4th down early here in the 4th quarter, leading only 17-7, but what an impact it has for your offense and your team to be able to do it.
If you do it. Now, Marty Schottenheimer on the other sideline has to be thinking to himself, that's not the Bill Cowher I remember when he was here, a guy who was a defensive coordinator, and that violates all the principles of a defensive coordinator. Cowher is now officially a head coach who's not afraid to take a risk.
Either that or he believes a lot in his defense.
Neil Schmitt was in there for that play, but has come out again. Here is Thompson. And he gets taken down for a loss of about 3. Simeon and Joe Phillips converge on the tackle. 12 and a half minutes remaining, 3rd quarter. Pittsburgh leading 17-7. Kansas City coming in more than a touchdown favorite.
2nd and long, sure pass coming up almost for O'Donnell, and this is where you would love to have your Neil Schmitt and your Derek Thomas healthy, because this is the down you'd like to come with the blitz. Neil Schmitt would then get a single blocker on him, but they're on the sideline.
2nd and 13, Thompson in motion. The blitz, heavy pressure, but he gets it away, and Green couldn't handle it. And that time it was Tracy Rogers pounding O'Donnell into the AstroTurf.
Well, he has a sore shoulder. So much has been made of his tendonitis in the right elbow, but about mid-season, I think it was against Houston, he damaged his shoulder, and that's been sore. That won't go away until about March.
When he takes it right on the right side, you see the hit in there by Rogers. He comes in from the outside, and it's Thomas working against Green. And Green just wasn't ready for the football.
3rd and 13. Hodge. Bayless knocks him out of bounds. A flag is down. He was well shy of the first down. There's a marker back at the 42.
A late flag, too.
Yep. And the other side of the field.
Well, if this is defensive holding, it would critically hurt the Chiefs, but instead it's illegal receiver downfield. One of the linemen got down there.
I would think the Chiefs would
ineligible
decline this penalty.
Number 63 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Well, let's see now. Gary Lane said third down, but the Chiefs were checking with Schottenheimer. Well, it would have been fourth. It would have been fourth down and probably a little out of Anderson's range.
I think they made a mistake.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they even checked with him.
Marty is out there yelling at his defense.
It is third down and 18 now from the 48-yard line. And O'Donnell gets dropped. The ball is loose. It's picked up by Hodge. Pittsburgh still has it, and now it's 4th and long in the punt.
Ooh, and don't you get a sense of feeling the things are bouncing in every way the Pittsburgh Steelers way?
And that was Neil Smith who dislodged the football, so he's been in and out of the game, and an impact play there.
But first of all, it was tremendous pass protection by the Steelers. O'Donnell is back in the pocket for well in excess of 6 seconds before he's finally hit from behind by Schmitt. And you're right, it was a very fortuitous bounce for Pittsburgh.
Mark Royals to punt. And it's taken at the 7-yard line. It's J.J. Burton running back. Marty Schottenheimer as a head coach in Cleveland and here with that percentage, the highest in history by any coach with 5 or more seasons who has not been to the Super Bowl, or before the Super Bowl came into existence, the championship game. But in postseason, he has won only 3 of 10. And his team trails by 10. Montana on first down from the 12 checks off to Hayes. And he gets to the 16-yard line. That's a gain of 4. Kevin Green making the stop.
Montana wanted to take it up top. Good coverage, and he had to check off to go to the tight end Cash.
Joe got very lucky that Greg Lloyd, coming in unblocked, went for the play fake rather than going right at Montana. If he would have gone right at Montana, he would have buried Joe.
Second and 5 up at the 17-yard line. Quick flip and through the hands of J.J. Burton. And the crowd getting very restless.
Well, the crowd realizes that when you're trailing by 10 points, the amount of mistakes that you can make and still get back into and win a ball game, they are dwindling rapidly. The Kansas City Chiefs are getting close to that position where dropped passes are killing them in terms of winning a ball game. It's not just a minor inconvenience. They are running out of errors.
Look at Burton. Take his eyes off the ball. He's looking to the inside. That ball thrown so perfectly that he did not concentrate on the catch, and he lost it.
3rd and 5, and they have to hustle up to the line and get the play off with 1 second on the play clock. Montana buying time. Chase throws. Catch made at the 25-yard line by Keith Cash, and a first down.
Again, Montana slipping along the pocket, looking for a receiver, knowing where everyone is. This is what he means to a team. Maybe not the best athlete that ever played this position, but he certainly has quarterbacked it better than anyone else. Look at this. He knows where everyone is, just enough athletic ability to get the ball out to Keith Cash, who set up beautifully beyond the sticks for the first down.
And Woodson kind of lost track of Cash.
1st and 10 up at the 25-yard line. To the 28, gain of 3, 2nd and 7. Evans makes the tackle. A little more than 9 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Pittsburgh on top 17-7.
One of the I think adjustments here for the Pittsburgh Steelers is that they're not able to play as much man coverage as they planned on playing. If you weren't with us at the very beginning, cornerback DJ Johnson was ejected from the ball game for kicking one of the Kansas City Chiefs. And that certainly throws their game plan out the window as far as how much man coverage they wanted to play.
On 2nd and 7. Another 3-yard pickup this time for Kimball Anders. Line of scrimmage is now the 30. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
That's easy for Mom as long as she can throw another log on the fire back home.
Not bad for players either, though. There's no wind blowing. The flags are just hanging limply, and you work up a sweat pretty quickly.
3rd and a short 5 from the 30-yard line. 8 minutes to go in the 3rd. Allen only to the 32, and the Chiefs will be forced to punt. Woodson comes up to make the tackle, and Brian Barker comes in to punt the ball to the Steelers.
And the pressure really now begins to mount on the Kansas City defense. The way the Chiefs have looked offensively, you wonder if 20 points isn't maybe their outer limit here today as far as what they can score. And the Steelers already sitting on 17 with 22+ minutes left to play.
Every time in their face!
Back to pass for it. Hit. Fumble on the play. Recovered by Moss. Sets up, winds up, hesitates out, throws a pass into the end zone. A diving catch. Touchdown!
If you said the Chiefs beat the Raiders, you got the right answer.
That's tonight in prime time right here on ABC. Steelers looking very much like a primetime team, lead by 10 from the 25-yard line. O'Donnell throws too high, incomplete, intended for Thompson. 2nd and 10.
Again, no real pressure on O'Donnell. He just was confronted with fine coverage in the part of the Kansas City secondary. And I know Marty is desperately seeking some way to get somebody in O'Donnell's face. Hard to do when Neil Smith is obviously hobbled and having his problems. Derek Thomas has also been out much of the game, even though he's back in.
On 2nd and 10, Merrill Hodge for 1 to the 26-yard line. Joe Phillips with the stop. 3rd and 9. 7 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Pittsburgh Steelers, last year they were the #1 seed. They had home field advantage throughout the playoffs, meant they had the bye week, but then Buffalo went to Pittsburgh and out they went. This year they are the 6th and last seed. The only way the Steelers can get to the Super Bowl is by winning 3 games on the road. 3rd and 9 at the 26-yard line. Pressure, he gets it away, and incomplete. So the Chiefs that time came
late flag,
including Albert Lewis.
Oh, late flag, Al, Frank. And this may hurt the Chiefs. This comes from Gary Lane, the referee, after the play.
Intentional grounding, offense.
Whoa.
Loss it down, 4th down.
A rare call here in 1993. Yes. A rare call indeed. The rule states that to get that ability to just throw the ball away, you must be outside the framework of the pocket.
It's a good call.
And Neil O'Donnell is not. That is a very good call by Gary Lane.
You're right. How many times? I don't think did we see it at all this year on Monday night?
No, that's the first time we say you must break the frame. You must be outside the tight end framework of the pocket.
So Mark Royals to punt. They have Dane and Hughes back to receive this punt. Dale Carter is their normal punt returner. They can march off the penalty here. The line of scrimmage will become the 14.
Yeah, it's yardage and loss of down.
Boy, and you can see what a little bit of pressure will do too.
Carter had been their punt returner. They now go with Hughes. You'll notice when they were backed up before, they had J.J. Burton back there. Hughes is a rookie, and they didn't want to give him that much pressure, receiving a kick inside his 10. But this time he's placed at midfield. Royals' kick is a low liner that is angled and caught at the 35. Hughes brings it back to the 45. The rookie from Iowa with a 10-yard run back after Mark Royal sends it 49 yards. 6:20 remaining in the 3rd. Steelers leading 17-7. 20 seconds remaining in the third quarter. AFC wild card playoff game, Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City. Joe Montana trying to get the Chiefs ignited. Pittsburgh leading 17-7. First down from the 45-yard line. And Marcus Allen probes the middle, picks up 2.5. Chad Brown, the rookie linebacker from Colorado, making the stop.
That last change of possession was profitable for the Kansas City Chiefs. It cost them some time off the scoreboard, but in terms of field position, a huge advantage as they get to start this drive clear out at their own 45. And at this stage of a playoff ball game where you are trailing, this is a type of field position that you cannot afford to squander, as we saw Marcus Allen come off the field, and that's a blow to the Chiefs, but they do have good field position.
Todd McNair in relief of Allen, lining up behind Montana. 2nd down and 8. They give it to McNair off the left side, and Todd McNair breaks it for 9 and a first down to the Pittsburgh 44. Evans and Kirkland combine on the stop.
For those people not familiar with Todd McNair, he is a fine running back, but an excellent receiver out of the backfield. He came in a week late this year, and never really got his job back. Harvey Williams opened at halfback, and then later Marcus Allen, and Todd McNair comes in very fresh, but he's a good football player.
Well, of all the Chief running backs, he has the best per carry average, 5.5 yards per carry over the course of the season.
And an excellent receiver, as I said.
5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Montana pressure, steps up only the way Joe can do it, and turns nothing into a little something, and the crowd wants a late hit, but no flag because Levon Kirkland came in a split second
and he
after the play.
And he slid in. That was not an attempt to put a lick on Joe. You just can't stop instantly, and we've got a Steeler down on the field. Somebody's hurt.
Chad Brown.
I'm sure it wasn't Montana who bowled him over.
You know, Joe Montana is a future Hall of Famer, and he should be held in respect, but he's just another scrambling quarterback here, and he's as fair game as any rookie quarterback in this league, and that was not a big shot.
Injury timeout.
The secret of doing successful advertising lies in saying the same thing over and over and over again. It also helps to have a good product. It's your choice.
There's our lineup tomorrow night in primetime on ABC. America's Funniest Home Videos, America's Funniest People, Lois and Clark, and the movie Tango and Cash coming your way in primetime tomorrow right here on ABC. 2nd and 7 after Chad Brown comes off the field for Pittsburgh, and Montana on 2nd and 7 throws. Anders makes the catch. That's a Chief first down to the 31-yard line.
And finally, some signs of life from Kansas City's offense. They got the good field position, and thus far, Joe Montana's making it work by calling on people like McNair, people like Anders, and they're coming up big. It's not a deep passing game. It's still predominantly to the backs, but now it's becoming effective. He's getting good protection, and Joe, after that horrible start, has been 10 of his last 13 passes.
On first down, he throws. McNair again escapes one man and takes it to the 19, and the crowd has very much come to life. Kimball Anders making the catch.
Well, both Anders and McNair good out of the backfield, and with Marcus Allen hobbled on the sidelines, who better to take advantage of their work out of the backfield than Joe Montana? This is like 49er offense from years ago when Paul Hackett and Joe Montana were together there back in 1983 and 1984. Just a little short, high percentage stuff. It moves the football, and Montana starting to heat up.
Gain of 12. 3:25 left in the third. 17-7 Pittsburgh. First down at the 19-yard line. Montana throws. Catch made by Barnett. He takes it to the 11-yard line. That's a gain of 8. Kansas City this season inside the 20, inside what is known as the red zone. 58%. They've gone into the end zone. Third highest rate in the league. The league average 47%.
Of course, when you have people like Montana and Marcus Allen. And Pittsburgh, as you see, very, very good in their own right in defending their own goal line, the second best in the NFL.
2nd and 2 from the 11-yard line. Montana flipping it. Burden makes the catch. Figures with the coverage. They're giving first and goal.
I'll give it to him. Yep. Figures knocked him out of bounds, but he would have come down inbounds had he not been hit.
A pure judgment call by the official.
Good one.
And
well
one of the most difficult calls, I think, for one of the side judges to make.
Had a good look at it. Here comes Figures, the #1 draft pick from this past year. I think you would have got them both down.
But when you look at that, that's one of the toughest calls, I think, for one of those guys to make. And that one goes Kansas City's way.
Not even argued by the Steelers.
Here's Anders on 1st and goal. And he gets a half-yard or so. Greg Lloyd makes the tackle. It'll be 2nd and goal just inside the 5 with 2:10 remaining in the 3rd.
Well played by Greg Lloyd. You had a good look at it. Outside responsibility. He stayed there, and Anders turned right into it. A little extracurricular activity in up there usually is.
Well, that's a good spear by Donald Evans. He comes in there and hits with the bridge of his helmet. And you can see why maybe some of the Kansas City guys got a little upset about that.
2nd and goal. Double tight end set. That was Cash in motion. Montana. And it's knocked away at the last moment. Figures got a hand on it. J.J. Bird, the intended receiver.
Well, if he did get a hand, I think he did, Al, but what a great play he made.
I think a little luck involved because he's playing the receiver all the way, never turned around and looked back at the ball.
You can see into those eyes. If you're a good defensive back, you're reading the eyes. The eyes get big when that ball starts to come in. He goes up, times it. I don't think he got a hand on it. He just didn't handle it.
Nope.
That's a well-thrown football by Montana. That should have been 6.
3rd down and goal. They're going to respot the ball because it should be inside the 5, and now it is. 1:40 to play, 3rd quarter. Steelers leading 17-7. It's been a scoreless second half. Pump fake. Scrambling.
There's Greg Lloyd, and what a big-time play.
At the 6-yard line.
Oh, Greg Lloyd, like a halfback, 6'2", 225-pounder. You're not going to juke him, particularly if you're Joe Montana.
You talk about a pressure tackle. Now, I know Joe Montana is not Marcus Allen with the football, but Greg Lloyd is the only player from Pittsburgh who has any chance at all of making a play on Montana. The only player. Watch this play unfold as Joe scrambles to his left. There is not a Steeler anywhere in the vicinity other than Greg Lloyd.
You know, he made 2 plays, Dan. He stopped him from taking right straight upfield to go to the goal line. And then he moved to the outside.
24-yard attempt for Nick Lowry. And the kick is good. Lowry now the most accurate field goal kicker of all time. That's a mantle that keeps moving back and forth and has over the past few years. But he's made 80% in his career. This one an easy one for him. And the Chiefs are now within 7.
And, of course, one of the guys that keeps taking it away from him and is always in the hunt is on the far sideline, Gary Anderson of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right, and the other guy who's always involved in it is Morton Anderson of New Orleans. And now Chris Jackie of Green Bay figures into this mix as well.
That was a big drive for Kansas City to put something up on the board. Joe Montana, who struggled mightily in the first half, getting his numbers back to Joe Montana numbers.
Well, there it is through the end of the regular season this year. And the postseason stats, by the way, are totally separate. So that's the way it will wind up following the 1993 campaign. Lowry, Stoyanovich of Miami right there. Treadwell now of the Giants, Jackie, and then the 2 Andersons. But you got, you know, especially with a Lowry and a Gary Anderson and Stoyanovich to a degree, even though he plays in good weather, Nick Lowry and Gary Anderson have spent their careers kicking outside.
And of the 2, I would suspect that Gary Anderson has has played in maybe the more formidable weather at Three Rivers than here at Arrowhead. This is even though it's cold today, still somewhat of a moderate climate here in Kansas City.
And then Chris Jackie should be recognized here too.
Nothing moderate about either playing at Lambeau Field or County Stadium in Milwaukee.
Right.
And if you are with the Chamber of Commerce, you can write us at ABC Sports.
No, you can write that down.
Hard to believe how many times Lowry was cut by various teams early on in his career. Half a dozen, 7 or 8 times before he finally was recognized for the true talent that he is.
109 remaining in the third, and he sends a bouncing ball down to the 20-yard line. Randy Cuthbert, rookie running back from Duke, brings it back to the 32-yard line with 1:02 remaining in the third. Funny the way this one is shaping up. I mean, they brought Montana here to move them along in the playoffs, and you've got a situation where you can see it developing right now. A little bit more than 16 minutes to go in the game, 7-point differential. Plenty of high drama to come.
Are you trying to say that no one should leave?
Stay tuned. From the 32-yard line, O'Donnell throwing it away. Stone, the nearest intended receiver.
And Albert Lewis all over Stone. Albert Lewis, one of the best to ever play at cornerback position.
And to play so effectively, Frank, in his 11th year in the league, that's a position where the wear and tear and over the years really takes a toll. And Albert, at this age, to turn in one of his best years ever is remarkable.
2nd and 10 from the 33. Thomas puts the pressure on O'Donnell, but he gets it away, and Eric Green makes the catch up at the 48. And so Eric Green, who had dropped the couple,
boy, did you see him fight it?
Makes his first catch of the day.
Eric Green, I think he was so frustrated. He's dropped a couple. He dropped a couple last week. He really fights this football into his chest now. Look at this, making sure he's got it.
Where that ball looks awful small when he's holding it, doesn't it?
I think you get psyched out. A receiver does after a while. You drop 2 or 3, and all of a sudden you start to fight it. Catch a couple, you're right back on stride.
1st and 10 at the 48-yard line. Thompson losing 2. Sally Amua will get credit for the tackle, and that will be the final play of the third quarter. End of 3 in KC. It's Pittsburgh 17 and the Chiefs 10, and we'll return with a fourth quarter from Arrowhead Stadium after this from our ABC stations. We start the fourth quarter in Kansas City. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Dierdorf. Winner advances. Loser is done. If the Chiefs win, they go to Houston. If Pittsburgh wins, they go to Buffalo next weekend. Pittsburgh leading 17-10 as the fourth quarter commences. The Steelers have the ball at their own 46-yard line. It is 2nd down and 12. Dwight Stone is the man in motion. Thompson gives it to Stone on a reverse, escapes from the 35-yard line and turns what would have been a big loss into a pretty nice gain to the Kansas City 44-yard line.
Boy, that's a risky call, Frank. Those are drive killers to run that on first or 2nd down and take the big loss. But they got away with it.
We saw him blow 3 in the first quarter, but they like to come with the reverse. What it does, particularly against somebody like Derek Thomas, it keeps him from pursuing. Even with that, he almost got into the play.
Big day for Dwight Stone. Is that carry number 3 for him?
You don't surprise anyone if you're a Steeler with a reverse. They do it so often.
9-yard gain, 3rd and 3 at the Kansas City 45-yard line. Play clock down to 1, and so O'Donnell has to take a timeout.
And he beat that by less than a second. Yes.
Pittsburgh utilizing its first. So
one of the bigger plays of the game defensively coming up for the Chiefs.
Well, we 3 guys would recognize hot air anywhere.
And the higher you go, the colder it gets. So I'm not even sure we could keep that thing afloat on a day like today.
Only around, what, 25 degrees? A great day to play a football game if you're a player. I don't know about sitting out in the cold. These fans don't seem to mind.
3rd down and 3 after that last timeout. As Dan said, a very big defensive play here for the Chiefs, who rush 4. O'Donnell gets protected well and throws too far, intended for Ernie Mills. Jay Taylor with the coverage. 4th down.
Jay Taylor having a memorable game, filling in for the injured Dale Carter. He has been the target of choice for the Steelers throughout the game. This time pretty good coverage. Neal ordinarily a little more accurate. Just off the fingertips, he was there.
Man coverage all the way by the Chiefs secondary.
Mark Royals to punt. J.J. Burton is back to receive it, but the kick is angled and does not get out of bounds. Instead goes into the end zone. Royals trying to send it into the corner, instead sends it into the end zone. And a 45-yard gross. There's only a 25-yard net first down at the 20-yard line for Montana and the Chiefs.
Back-to-back bad plays for the Steelers. The incomplete pass and then the punt into the end zone. A very nominal gain in field position by allowing the Chiefs to start at the 20-yard line.
The Silverdome in Pontiac is the site. And we'll find out about Barry Sanders, whether he will play. The Lions hosting the Green Bay Packers. NFC wildcard game after this one. Montana with Marcus Allen behind him. The fake to Allen comes back the other way. This is Kimball Anders. Out of bounds at the 28, a gain of 8. It'll be 2nd down and 2. Good block by Will Shields, the rookie.
Marty Schottenheimer was telling us yesterday how Will Shields has been on the field for more plays than any other member of the Kansas City offense this year, and he went to him a couple weeks ago worried that he was going to wear out, that he was going to get tired, that he was not going to be able to keep this pace up for the balance of the season. And I think he's showing the energy of youth, and he's also showing right here that he knows how to play. The block right there on the left side of your screen by the rookie from Nebraska. Good play.
22 years old.
Yeah. He's too young to get tired.
Here's Marcus Allen trying to get to the 30-yard line. If the nose of the ball is on that stripe, it is a first down. Kevin Green makes the tackle. 13:35 remaining, 4th quarter. Steelers on top by 7. And it is a first down.
It has not been a magical first 3 quarters for Joe Montana so far.
There's something magical about waiting for it to happen, though, isn't there?
Yeah. We've seen it too many times to not believe.
Over the years, the 14 years that this man has thrilled us all.
And right now, there's probably nobody in this stadium more nervous than Bill Cowher, the head coach of the Steelers.
Montana 14-5. It is 19 games, and a flag goes down.
I think it's delay.
Yep. Play clock ticking all the way down.
That's the second time today.
Still first down.
That's the second time today that Joe's got caught. We've talked before on Monday night about the fact that we've gone from the 45-second play clock down to the 40-second play clock, and sometimes with the plays always coming in from the sidelines, the quarterbacks don't call their own plays anymore. It just takes more time. That's not necessarily the quarterback's fault.
On 1st and 15
comes Woodson.
They pick him up. The pass is caught at the 46-yard line by Willie Davis. 22-yard gain and a Chief first down.
Good read by Davis and Montana, and you're right, Al, they picked Woodson. He was coming from the corner. They use him a lot in a pass rush situation, but Davis and Montana right in sync. There he is, number 84. He'll break right to you underneath Burton into the hole, and Montana is there.
And again, I don't want to belabor the point, but another zone defense by the Steelers, missing their other cover corner, DJ Johnson, who was ejected.
Montana, who started the game 0 for 7, hands the ball off to Freddie Jones on an end around. He gets into Steeler territory and is close to a first down. Rod Woodson knocking him out of bounds at that spot.
We might call that a crunching tackle by Rod Woodson, and Freddie Jones, give him credit for the speed to get outside and make something out of a play that looked dead. At about the midpoint right here, this play looks absolutely dead. Davidson looked like he had it cut off, and then Contain was gone, but what a shot by Rod Woodson on Jones. Look at this. Lowers the shoulder, and Jones, a much smaller man at only 180 pounds, stopped immediately.
Second and a short one. Marcus Allen takes it to the 33-yard line.
Marty Schottenheimer has to like what he's been watching. Midway through the third quarter, this team is starting to look like the Kansas City Chiefs that went 11-5.
Marcus 11 carries now for 46 yards. First and 10, Chiefs at the 33. Steelers lead by 7. 11:05 left in the fourth. Barnett in motion. Catch is made by Burton to the 14, and another first down.
Oh, and Figures, Deion Figures saved the touchdown. Vintage Joe Montana.
I'll tell you who else turned in a big play. John Alt, the left tackle. I thought Greg Lloyd got a tremendous jump on the ball, and Alt handled him easily, setting up this play downfield. And oh, another nice fake to the outside.
But a good recovery by Figures.
This Kansas City team starting to believe.
First and 10 at the 14-yard line. Marcus Allen picks up 3 to the 11. If it sounds sort of strangely quiet when the Chiefs come to the line of scrimmage, they always have a sign up here that says, "Quiet, please, audible zone." And all 75,000 people respect it. There it is.
Only in Middle America.
Big Brother running the show. Would you like to explain that?
Put that up in New York, they'd eat you alive.
Second and 6 at the 10-yard line. 9:45 to go. Montana throws. The catch is made by Cash. The tight end takes it inside the 5, and it will be first and goal.
You know how many times I've said it over the years we've watched this man. I don't think even the credit and the accolades he's received over the years, I'm talking about Montana, he still makes it look so easy. He always is looking at the right place. He knows wherever receiver is, just a little flick of the wrist. Where does he throw it? Down in the crowd. He puts it at the belt where the receiver is not going to get the ball knocked away from him. It's a pleasure to watch.
First and goal at the 2. Allen.
In again.
Touchdown.
His 13th of the year.
Aren't you a little surprised that Marcus Allen got the ball down there?
Stunned.
That's an 80-yard drive for Kansas City.
Only it does for Marcus Allen. Marty Schottenheimer's infatuation with using him on short yardage and goal line is that it has really worked on his yards per carry. If he gets it at 3rd and 1, 2nd and 1, 1st and goal, anything short, he's got it.
That's Marcus's first postseason touchdown since 1985. Of course, for many of those seasons, the Raiders didn't get into the playoffs as Lowry boots it through. So the Chiefs go 80. And with 8:58 to go, the game is tied at 17. Despite not having scored in postseason since 1985, that's 11 touchdowns in 11 postseason games for Marcus Allen.
Not much he hasn't done as a Super Bowl MVP, led the league in rushing, Heisman Award winner in college.
He is the oldest running back in the National Football League, and he says, I will definitely be back next year and hope to be back in 95 as well.
I like your question about the Hall of Fame, Alan. If he's not in the Hall of Fame, there shouldn't be one.
Amen. Lowry's kick taken by Stone. Dwight Stone brings it back to the 25-yard line. Tackled there by Santos Stevens. Coaches are always talking about turnovers. Announcers are always talking about turnovers. It is incredibly important in postseason games. Only one of 273 postseason games has had no turnovers, and that was the Giants-Bills Super Bowl in Tampa, Super Bowl 25. No turnovers today. And we talked about the significance of it. We can go back and detail it in terms of the team that owns the differential in postseason games wins an inordinate amount of time.
Not only in postseason, during the season also.
But particularly so after the season.
They win most of them, too.
From the 25-yard line, this is Merrill Hodge picking up 3. Out to the 28-yard line, Tracy Simeon makes the tackle.
A lot of that is more recently, these teams work on turning the ball over. They tackle and they slice and pull it out.
Well, here it is in postseason play. If you have the turnover advantage, the team that has had it has won 21 consecutive games. That pretty much tells the story.
And you'd have to think that if there is one here in the last 8 minutes of regulation, that might be 22.
Very good chance.
Especially if it happens at your end of the field.
2nd and 8 from the 28-yard line. O'Donnell buying time, then finds Stone, who breaks the tackle, picks up the first down. And Dwight Stone is
never went out of bounds
at the 47-yard line of Kansas City.
Dwight Stone just kind of hit underneath, broke back across the line of scrimmage, got lost in the shuffle, and I think the Kansas City thought he had stepped out of bounds somewhere early upfield. Look at him hide right behind the linebackers, come across just beyond the line of scrimmage, slips a tackle there, gets away from Albert Lewis. Now watch this, down the sideline. He's still in, and they're pulling up.
Gain of 26.
Pretty good body control by Dwight Stone, staying in bounds.
Under 8 minutes to go. Thompson barrels to the 40-yard line. Picks up 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4. Lonnie Martz with the hit. A Steeler win, they go to Buffalo Saturday. A Chief win, they go to Houston next Sunday.
Can we just have a phone call from Buffalo that they got a basic whiteout up there, a blizzard going on right now? Probably wouldn't have been able to see the football today. But it'll be beautiful next week.
Nah, that can't be happening in Buffalo.
2nd and 4 at the 40-yard line. Here's Thompson. A first down to the 32-yard line. He's tackled by Kevin Ross. First down, Pittsburgh. Merrill Hodge paving the way that time with a block. 7 minutes to go in regulation.
Well, what a fine football game this is. One team down, the other one comes back, and now Pittsburgh, they are battling back. But it looked like Kansas City was taking control.
Only the 2nd game ever in the postseason history of 22-year-old Arrowhead Stadium. The other one was won by the Chiefs 3 years ago, 10-6 over the Raiders. First down at the 32. Over the middle, Mills makes the catch, having a big day. Ernie to the 25-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 3. Tracy Rogers with the tackle.
It's not many teams that use their tight end to go deep and clear things out for a wide receiver, running a short pattern underneath. And that's exactly the way the Pittsburgh Steelers are running their passing offense right now. Eric Green is the guy that's going 20 or 25 yards downfield, and then the wideouts are coming back underneath to pick up the short stuff. That's the kind of respect that Green draws when he goes downfield.
Thompson on 2nd and 3, and it was Derek Thomas who had him by the ankle, stopping him for next to no gain, setting up a 3rd and 3 with 5:45 to play in the game, tied at 17.
Derek Thomas does more than just rush the passer. Watch him fight off the block here. Hodge out with the lead block. Not a good effort by Hodge, but Derek Thomas reading it. Falls to the inside, makes the stop, short of the first.
3rd and 3 at the Chief 25. Mills in motion. O'Donnell to Thompson. Knows where he has to go for the first and gets it. 4-yard gain. Lonnie Martz with the coverage. First down, Pittsburgh at the 21-yard line.
Say it again. There's not any more accurate passers than Neil O'Donnell when you give him time to throw the ball. He threw the ball right in there perfectly, had it down low, right on target. Thompson with just enough for the first down.
Clock running, 5 minutes left. Fourth quarter. Scoreboard tied 17-17. First downs are even at 19 each. 1st and 10, and Thompson gets knocked down behind the line of scrimmage. Thomas was the first to get him, and then Bayless finished him off. Loss of 1, 2nd and 11.
You would think that at the point of attack, the advantage with the larger tight end would go to Pittsburgh. He tries to turn Derek Thomas to the inside, loses his footing. Thomas still gets enough penetration that he affects the play by altering Thompson's route.
On 2nd and 11. O'Donnell pump fakes, going for the end zone to Green. Touchdown Steelers.
Oh, and there's a mocking the crowd with the tomahawk chop.
Boy, what a good read by O'Donnell and a good look off of the safety, Kevin Ross. He looks to the left as if he is going to pass to the left, and he comes back to the big man Green right down the middle. And Ross just riveted a little bit, little look to the outside, but O'Donnell's look to the left kept Ross from getting back into the play.
It's the same patterns they've been running in this game where Green goes deep. He just runs the kind of pass routes that you don't expect from a man that size. You would think that he's nothing more than a 5, 6, 7 yard receiver weighing 280 to 290 pounds, but he's exceptional. He can cover all parts of the field.
That's a big time drive there.
Oh. Anderson with a point after. 24-17 Steelers. 24-17. They just drove 74 yards. Now Gary Anderson to kick off. Back to receive Danon Hughes, rookie from Iowa. Hughes waits. Fields at the 1 yard line. And back to the 21 yard line. And here comes Montana. And we'll find out about Montana and his magic with 4:02 remaining in regulation, and KC down by 7.
We were talking about this during the commercial break as we see the scoring drive of Pittsburgh. 9 plays, 74 yards. Eric Green, the big play. At a playoff game with almost 80,000 people in attendance, it's hard to get that many people in one place and have them be this quiet. I don't know if the cold has numbed them, but they need to get a little spark going, and maybe this guy will provide it.
Here's Marcus Allen, and a big play by Kevin Green. 5 yard loss. The free agent pickup from the Rams when they lost Gerald Williams, the linebacker, going to San Diego, and they lost Hardy Nickerson to free agency. They needed an impact linebacker, and they got one.
He got a tough one too. We'll watch him again. He had to leave last week's game with a bad knee. There was little question about whether he'd be able to go full speed here today, and he certainly has.
2nd and 15. Montana throwing too high, intended for J.J. Burton. Coverage by Willie Williams. It'll be 3rd down and 15.
Well,
that's one of your few times you're going to see the deep out of sync with Montana. I'd kind of lay it on Burton if I was going to lay it anywhere.
A pressure-packed 3rd and long situation here. Headed towards 3 minutes, 3:25 left in this game.
3rd and 15.
Oh,
down he goes in a clump.
What a huge series for the Steeler defense, and Kevin Green trying to play on that bruised knee. What gutsy performance.
Well, now the Chiefs, with all of their timeouts remaining, will have to begin to use them defensively as Green comes hobbling off.
The pressure up the middle, that's Gerald Williams. He was the big force, the guy that first forced Montana to move away from where he wanted to be. Just a power rip move up the middle by number 98 Williams.
Brian Barker to punt, Ron Woodson back to receive it.
Boy, and he's got a lot of room.
48-yard kick. Woodson goes down at his own 48-yard line. So that's where the Steelers have it. 3 minutes remaining. Kansas City has all of its timeouts left plus the 2-minute warning, so Kansas City knows it can stop the clock at least 4 more times.
Yeah, but can they stop the Steelers?
Yes, that's the question.
The last time the Steelers had the ball, they went right through Kansas City defensively.
If you think back to last week, trailing 9-3 against Cleveland, they needed the Jets to lose. Sunday night, after they came back in the second half to win that game, they had to see Miami go down. The Raiders win, and here they are, 3 minutes away from on their way to Buffalo.
If you start to prioritize things for the Steelers, number one right now, no turnovers. Do not turn over the football.
And they haven't turned it over today, and that's a 4-yard loss as Thompson gets knocked down back at the 44-yard line. Darren Mickle with the tackle.
And on the other hand, Dan, this is a team, Kansas City, and we know they work on it. They're coached to force the turnover, and they do it as well as anyone in the league, and perhaps better.
Kansas City takes a timeout, so that's their first, with 2:50 remaining in the fourth.
Both of these teams heavy in the giveaway takeaway ratio. The Steelers +10 and Kansas City +11.
The topic of conversation right here between Ron Earhart and Neil O'Donnell and Bill Cowher is, do we risk putting the ball in the air? They'd like to get the first down, obviously, but do you risk the incompletion, which stops the clock, which in essence doesn't force Kansas City to use a timeout? Or do you play it ultra conservative, stay on the ground, knowing that you're now facing long yardage for a first down, and how tight do you play it?
Well, Neil O'Donnell, as he throws fewer interceptions than just about anyone in this game. He gets sacked a lot, and that's one of the reasons. But he does not throw many interceptions. He threw 7 all year long. Sacked 41 times. That's part of the equation with him. If Neil O'Donnell is very careful with that football.
If I was the Pittsburgh offensive coordinator, and I have made a decision that somewhere in this drive I would throw the ball, I would throw it here.
Throw it conservative. Throw underneath. Get half of it.
2nd and 14 from the 44. Thompson. Well, the last thing he wants to do is go out of bounds, but he stayed in according to the official. Taylor with the tackle. He tried to drive him out, and now Kansas City takes another timeout, their second. His knee did go down inbounds, so it was the correct call by the officials, as I think this replay will confirm.
Well, he worked to get down also.
Yeah, you're right. There's the knee down.
Good call.
And a big play, because it forces Kansas City to take that timeout, so they have 1 left plus the 2-minute warning, 2:43 remaining.
Neil's going, let me throw it, let me throw it. Earhart and Cowher saying, do what I say.
Bill Cowher's got a lot of input at this point with Ron Earhart, who he trusts explicitly, I know, but this is his job is on the line. This is his football team, and at the critical points, the head coach has a major input. 3rd and 10.
I think Bill Cowher is going to be a successful coach in this league for a long time. I think he's the complete package.
You know what he does, too? He can deal with today's player. He lets them be themselves to a point. He also can be a disciplinarian.
3rd and 10 at the 47-yard line. Play fake. And no, incomplete. Jeff Graham couldn't hold on. Jay Taylor right there with him. 4th down.
Well, Jay Taylor, the guy they go to. And the question was it a ball that Graham should have held on to?
Well, again, Jay Taylor, they picked on him all day long. Dale Carter out of the lineup.
Well, that ball was drilled right in there, but you could see the right arm of Taylor came right down and knocked the ball out. That was a good play by Taylor. You really can't fault Graham.
Mark Royals to punt, and the kick is blocked. It is blocked, and this is Jones taking off. He's inside the 20, tackled at the 9-yard line.
Who got it?
Keith Cash,
the big tight end. 6'4", Cash makes the key block and the turnover.
Let's take a look at this from behind. Royals does not turn away from the rush coming from the right side. A lot of times a punter is supposed to angle it one direction or the other. You could see Bill Cowher talking, yelling at Royals when he came off to the side. I don't know if he was supposed to turn to the left or not. Either way, it was poor protection allowing Cash to get in.
Gary Jones saved the touchdown. 1st and goal. Marcus Allen to the 8-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal. The Chiefs with 1 timeout plus the 2-minute warning remaining. The clock at 2:20. Keith Cash.
Woo. And right now, you're right about Gary Jones. He has a chance to be a hero. If the Pittsburgh defense comes up huge down here, the game ball goes to Gary Jones. Unless, of course, he's the guy to let Cash in to block the punt. In which case, it'll just be even.
2-minute warning. This wild card playoff game is being brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth, a division of the Chrysler Corporation. UPS, the official package delivery company of the NFL. HBO Comic Relief 6, one of the biggest comedy events of the year. HBO, just you wait. And KFC. They are KFC, and they do chicken right.
I mentioned earlier about the greeting that Mark Royals got when he came off the field. Look at his coach, Bill Cowher, a former special teams coach, and needless to say, a little unhappy with something that Royals did. Of course, the punt was blocked, giving Kansas City this opportunity.
2nd and goal from the 8-yard line. Montana looking, throwing, and incomplete, and Keith Cash wants a penalty and won't get it. Willie Williams was the man who was covering on the play, and Gerald Williams put the pressure on Montana.
Montana had it right in there, but again, Williams, did he come over the top? Did he get there before the ball? Got him all the way, locks up with him. He can handle him for 5 yards. He just dropped the ball.
So it is 3rd and goal at the 8-yard line. Wrap around to Marcus, and he can take it only to the 7-yard line. Gerald Williams makes the tackle. Schottenheimer says timeout. And here is your season right now. 4th and goal at the 7-yard line.
It started back in July, and you're down to this, and I'd have to think twice about that call.
Ooh.
You got one of the all-time great passers, a guy who won't make the mistake for you down there, won't hurt you. Put it in the end zone. You got 2 times to do it.
And it's when the field is compressed, when all your defenders are within a relatively confined area, a slow developing play like a wraparound is not normally the play of choice. Normally something that hits a little quicker, whether it be a pass or a run, is something that operates with a great deal more effectiveness down on the goal line than a slow developing play like a wraparound. And as you can see, this didn't really fool much of anybody. Good play there by Gerald Williams.
Montana on the phone with Paul Hackett. So here it is. This is the season. 4th and goal at the 7-yard line.
Well, if you think back to the catch, do you let Joe do a little bit of a roll, give him a little field in front of him, give him a chance to look, buy him a little time?
.148 remaining.
So it has come to this.
Chiefs out of timeouts. Good protection. Touchdown, Tim Barnett.
If you didn't believe before, you believe now.
Does he work beautifully in the pocket? His initial receiver was covered. He knows where everyone is on that football field. And give that offensive line credit. The Steelers were desperately trying to get into his face. They gave him time. He just bounced a couple of times.
Well, we still have a 1-point ball game here. Nick has to do his job.
But don't go away.
Look at this.
Back of the end zone. Good job by Barnett.
Well, what were the Steelers doing?
They're in that zone that so many teams play down on the goal line. You give the quarterback that much time, somebody will be open to the back of the end zone.
Here's Lowry to tie it. And does.
They were in that zone coverage where they were covering the two outside portions of the field and leaving the middle wide open.
So you've got 1:43 remaining. Now Pittsburgh has 2 timeouts remaining as they try to get into Gary Anderson field goal range. Just as a point of information in regard to Barnett, because he has been talked about, and you probably read about him this week. He was arrested a couple of years ago. He violated probation. He was supposedly to serve more time in jail and asked for not an extension, but apparently went back in and they appealed the process. It's a little murky in terms of the information we were able to get. But in any event, it was a story here in Kansas City this week, and here's the guy in the back of the end zone winding up catching the pass from Montana.
If it's a jury case, he'll be pardoned.
Frank, you just summed it up.
He made a great play.
Frank, very good. You're right. If it's anywhere here, might be the death sentence, though, if it's a Pennsylvania jury. Here it is prior to the play. Fred Barnett thinks he's being replaced by Kimball Anders. Barnett's coming back in, and then finally it's Willie Davis that leaves. How's that?
And the irony of that is Willie Davis has 7 touchdowns on the season, and Tim Barnett is the hero of the moment.
Do I call him Fred Barnett?
Fred's his cousin.
Oh, well,
the Eagle wide receiver.
Excuse my excitement.
I understand it.
Tied ball games in playoff football with 1:43 to go. If this doesn't get your heart pumping, nothing does.
Lowry's kick, a short kick fielded at the 10-yard line by Rod Woodson. And he can run it back only to the 22-yard line. Freddie Jones is there. And the Steelers now with O'Donnell taking over at the 22 and 2 timeouts remaining. 1:39 on the clock.
So again, O'Donnell, a very careful passer, if that's the right way to put it. He does not throw interceptions for you. He gets sacked a lot, but a very accurate passer. 2 timeouts. Plenty of time to get within field goal range of Gary Anderson, albeit short field goal range. 47, 48, perhaps his limit.
Well, this crowd is no longer quiet.
1st and 10 from the 22-yard line, and the catch is made by Jeff Graham. He's out of bounds up at the 27-yard line. Albert Lewis with the coverage.
Boy, Graham bobbled that ball initially and was able to gain control of it before he went out of bounds. The first time it hit him, he didn't catch it cleanly. Off his knee, actually.
Did he throw that ball well?
Yes, he did.
Gain of 5. 2nd and 5. 1:34 left. O'Donnell escaping. And Stone dropped the ball. O'Donnell escapes Mickle, and then Stone simply dropped it.
And it would have been an easy first down out somewhere over the 35-yard line.
It has been an ongoing problem for the Steelers and their wide receivers. We've got somebody hurt. They can't ID a number for sure. And this is
Kevin Ross.
Kevin Ross.
Ross missed last week's game with a bruised hip.
Oh, look at that. Strelzik.
That's Justin Strelzik, who's not even in the ball game. Gives Kevin Ross a shot as he is running through the Steeler bench.
That will be reviewed at 410 Park Avenue.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Undetected by the officials. 3rd down and 5 at the 27-yard line. O'Donnell hit as he throws, and incomplete, intended for Graham. Derek Thomas forcing the issue. And in comes Royals to punt again.
Boy, what a play by Derek Thomas.
He's been quiet most of the game, Dan.
He is alternating sides, trying to pick up the slack for Neil Schmitt. This time he's on the left side defensively. Boy, that's just hustle and athletic ability and instinct all rolled into one.
Well, now Kansas City will have plenty of time.
Royals to kick. Danon Hughes, the rookie, back to get it. A lot of room to roam as he takes it at the 24-yard line, but he falls down. And can only bring it back to the 28-yard line. No timeouts for Schottenheimer's Chiefs. 1:14 on the clock as they try to set up a Nick Lowry game-winning field goal.
And Lowry, unlike Gary Anderson, he can reach it from 55, 57, his career best, I believe, what, 58 yards. So they need to move it some 30, 35 yards to give Nick Lowry a chance to win it.
Montana in a situation he has been in so many times.
20th playoff start.
At the 28-yard line. Joe firing right on the money into double coverage to Danon Hughes.
How do he do it?
He didn't get out of bounds, and Montana says, let's get up to the line of scrimmage. I'm going to throw it into the ground to stop the clock. And he does. Second down with 56 seconds remaining. Danon Hughes making his first catch of the day.
You've got no right to complete that pass. You really don't.
If I'm Pittsburgh, the next time Montana's in that situation where he's acting like he's going to throw the ball into the ground, I wouldn't necessarily count on it.
What a weird game.
I would expect the unexpected from Joe Montana.
Think about Danon Hughes, the rookie. The kid falls down. He could have had a 10, 15, 20-yard return. He had that much room. Falls down on the punt return, and the next play comes back, catches his first pass of the day.
Well, couldn't they use that lost yardage on that punt return now?
On 2nd and 10, Marcus Allen takes it to the Steeler 46-yard line. That's a first down.
But what a terrific call. In danger of running out of time, almost within field goal range.
Now Montana on first down throws. He hits Cash, and Cash gets out of bounds at the 42-yard line. So if they don't gain another yard, Lowry's attempt from here would be 59. His career high 58 twice.
Dead win. There's nothing. The flag at the end of the end zone. Nothing's happening there.
Well, the key here, 36 seconds left, is that the middle of the field is still available to Joe Montana. There is plenty of time to complete a pass across the middle, get up, get your offensive team on the ball, and kill it. So the entire field from sideline to sideline is still available to Joe.
2nd down and 6 at the 42-yard line. He throws. The catch is made again in traffic. And this time it's Burton making the catch at the 33-yard line. So now you're looking at a 50-yard Lowry field goal. Montana says, I'm going to spike it. That stops the clock with 19 seconds.
I think you still have one more try at the middle if you want to do it. 19 seconds.
Well, if you try it up the middle, then you still have to get up to the line of scrimmage again and spike it.
It's going to be close.
Oh boy.
That's it. You would think that something short, something in that 5, 6, 7 yard range across the middle might, but boy, that's a heck of a chance you're taking.
Even a draw play wouldn't be a bad call.
No, I think a running play you could do it.
I think you try to throw outside and just hope that the guy can step out of bounds.
You might be able to do it, but what if you didn't do it? What if that clock ticked away on you?
2nd and 10. Here's McNair. The catch is made, and he's out of bounds at about the 25-yard line.
How did McNair keep that ball off the ground? I thought it one-hopped to him from up here.
I did too.
Take another look
Very
here.
Close.
If that was an optical illusion, if that ball didn't touch the ground. I'm way above the surface of the field up here, but let's look at it from closer to ground level. McNair is 48. The ball coming down. Oh, that's on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
That ball's on the ground.
You know, this is crazy. Well, you finally have a situation here with no replay. Lowry's going to attempt a 43-yarder to win the game. Barker to hold it. Kansas City does not win the game as Lowry missed it.
Perhaps justice, Al.
That is justice. They would not have been in field goal range if it weren't for the fact that the officials didn't see the fact that that pass to McNair hit the ground.
Well, had that gone through, you would have had your first gigantic controversy about the removal of replay. Because under the old rules, that would have been ruled an incomplete pass upon further review.
Here's another look at it. We didn't see this angle before. Whoa. The ball is just sitting right on the ground.
Mm-hmm. That was bouncing up off the carpet.
Now give McNair a lot of credit. that was a nifty piece of handwork by Todd McNair.
And not bad acting afterward.
No, sir. It looked obvious from up here.
And meanwhile, here's Lowry's kick.
A call that we've seen and heard Al make before.
Yep, no good. Wide right. Yep. Scott Norwood, Super Bowl. Lowry missing one, just barely missing one in a wild card 3 years ago in Miami that would have won the game from 52 yards. The kneel down ends regulation, and so this one goes into overtime. And why not? Last weekend, 4 regular season games went into overtime.
Second time in 5 days for us.
Yes. A little bit more at stake this afternoon than last Monday.
A little more Montana magic. And what a fine coaching job once again Bill Cowher has done with
all right,
we're going to stay. He's had.
First things first, we'll stay for the toss of the coin and take a commercial and come back with the beginning of OT. Remember, it's sudden death. The team that wins the toss is going to get the football.
And where we almost ended in a tie last week with the game being won on the final play of overtime.
Pittsburgh.
Not the case
Good
here.
choice again, Rob. Call it in the air.
Rod Woodson to call it.
We'll be here to midnight if we have to.
If we have to.
It is heads.
And of course, the Kansas City Chiefs, no stranger to playoff overtime football, as they were a participant in the longest game ever played in the National Football League.
Derek Thomas, this big chief is a real NFL bookworm. Check it out.
Playing in the National Football League allows me to do what I love to do most. Read on long road trips to Miami or Seattle. I like to dive into a classic like War and Peace or a bestseller like The Firm. Didn't like the movie. And how many times have I curled up with green eggs and ham? Sam I am. But game day is when I love to tackle my favorite titles like Elway, Aikman, Moon. Those are my favorite titles.
Okay. You know, you'd think the team winning the toss would have a big advantage. Look at the left-hand column. Dead even during the regular season in the history of the NFL in terms of overtime games. On the right, the team losing the toss has won 7 of the 12 postseason overtime games.
I would have never believed that.
No, neither would I.
Oh, I would have.
This game has not had a turnover. Anderson kicks off. It is taken at the 5-yard line by Damon Hughes. And the Iowa Hawkeye rookie brings it back to the 25-yard line. A win, and the Chiefs go to Houston next Sunday. If the Steelers win, they go to Buffalo next Saturday. 24-24 in overtime. First and 10, Kansas City at the 25-yard line. Willie Davis is the man in motion. And the handoff to Allen, and he goes next to nowhere. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Greg Lloyd, number 95, is doing a wonderful job of anticipating Montana's snap count. This guy is moving exactly with the football, if not a shade before it. Watch the start that Lloyd gets. There he goes. He's in motion, but he's not across the football. Joe has got to change up his snap count a little bit. Lloyd's been doing this most of the second half.
2nd and 10 at the 25-yard line. Brown came in on the blitz. Allen takes the pass. Marcus out to the 30. Joe went down. Slow and arising. Chad Brown knocking him down.
Remember, I think earlier we were talking about Montana when he finally got the gloves off. He was 3 for 10. He is now 23 of 38. Over 220 yards, 1 touchdown, no INTs.
I'm not so sure that Marcus Allen wasn't supposed to block Chad Brown, and when he found himself too far to the outside, went ahead and released. I wouldn't be putting this guy in a position where there are too many unaccounted for guys coming in and hitting him.
Gain of 5, 3rd and 5 from the 30-yard line. Montana stepping up, has to get to the 35 for a first down, and appears to be stopped a little short by Kevin Green.
Ooh. Boy, and he got held up by Green. Green's making the tackle, and Joe takes a pretty good shot. It's one of those where Joe was trying to escape, trying to get down. He's being held up behind, by Green.
I think he thought he could slide for the first down. He didn't know Green was there.
But right there, he's really vulnerable, and he takes a good pop there from Brian Hinkle.
It is 4th and inches, and thus Barker has to kick. Rod Woodson back to receive, standing at his own 20-yard line.
One of the great return men in the league.
46-yard kick. Woodson from the 19-yard line. Tripped up at the 26-yard line. Keith Cash making the tackle. So 2 minutes and 14 seconds into overtime. The Steelers have the ball. ABC's Wild Card Playoff game is being brought to you by New Wavy Lays. They're not your ordinary ridged chip. They're Lays. There is a flag down on the far side of the 23-yard line on the return. We'll get the call in a moment from Gary Lane.
There's no infraction on the play. The block was in the side. First down.
Somebody thought that there was a block in the back, and it was overruled by committee. Benny Thompson, the special teams maven of the Chiefs, trying to lobby the Chiefs' case to no avail. 24 apiece in overtime.
At the 26-yard line, 1st and 10. O'Donnell, who's thrown 3 touchdown passes today, retreating, sets up the screen to Thompson, but he can't go anywhere. He is tackled at the 24 by Tracy Rogers.
There have been an awful lot of screens run today by the Pittsburgh Steelers, more than I've seen them run in a long time. And Kansas City, I think, is gotten to the point where they've seen them with enough regularity that they're all over it.
Well, they did a lot of this when Barry Foster was healthy, and for all the right reasons. They got away from it a little bit. They used a lot of 2 setbacks with Hodge and Thompson. They've come back to it today primarily because of Smith and Thomas on their strong pass rush, I'm sure.
2nd and 12 at the 24-yard line. Thompson, he takes it to the 31. 3rd and 6 upcoming.
Well, Kansas City is thinking Eric Green, and Eric Green in that order.
And they might get Merle Hodge.
Yep.
Merle Hodge.
Yep.
Good coming out of the backfield.
This will, if we see an overcommitment by the Chiefs, somebody else here is going to be open. Maybe exposing Kansas City to the big play.
3rd and 6 from the 31-yard line. Green in motion. O'Donnell from the shotgun. O'Donnell to Graham. First down out to the 46-yard line.
I think that what Bill Cowher told us yesterday, if they overcommit on Eric Green, that means we're going to have one-on-one with our wide receivers. And what are we going to run? A lot of crossing patterns, a lot of things underneath. When they needed it, that's exactly what they went to right here.
Same philosophy that you get from the 49 of the West Coast attack. Brent Jones with the 49ers. You cover him with a deep man, you're going to get single coverage on either Rice or Taylor. Same idea.
Kansas City safeties are thinking Eric Green right now.
Here's Thompson. Stopped a little short of the 50 up at the 49-yard line. Gain of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Boy, in all the raves that we've been giving Joe Montana, Neil O'Donnell has quietly played a superb football game. His offensive line has protected him. He has thrown the ball well.
Well, for a guy with a bad elbow and a bad shoulder who has his practice time limited every week, well, this guy's just a baby here in the National Football League. He's going to be a fine player for a long time. Here comes the blitz.
On 2nd and 7. They pick it up, and the pass incomplete, intended for Stone, who had position on Albert Lewis, but O'Donnell was forced to get rid of it in a hurry. 3rd down.
You don't want to be too harsh on the existing group of Pittsburgh wide receivers, but How desperately do they need a Lynn Swan or a John Stallworth or a Lewis Lips? They need a big-time playmaker on the outside, and I'd have to think that it's going to be a #1 priority for this group.
3rd and 7. O'Donnell stepping to the side. Green has it deflect off his hands. 4th down.
Well, O'Donnell flushed from the pocket, had an opportunity. Green was coming open. Hurried it. One that might have been caught, but it would have been a great effort on the part of the big man. Right about this point, O'Donnell's being flushed from the pocket, looking desperately for the receiver. And over the 6'5" outstretched arms of the big man, Eric Green.
Mark Royals into punt. Line of scrimmage is the 50. And it bounces out of bounds between the 20 and 25-yard line. They spot it just outside the 20. And that's where Montana and the Chiefs will take their second possession of overtime. Well, as soon as this one is over, we go to the Silverdome in Pontiac, Green Bay and Detroit in the NFC wild card game. We are 5 minutes and 4 seconds into overtime. Doesn't make any sense to tell you how much time is left in overtime. They just play forever in postseason.
So much on the line. We talked about the season that began way back last summer. One of these teams is going to go home. It's all over for one of these teams this evening. What an emotional drop it is, too. Having been there.
1st and 10, Kansas City. Fake to Allen. Over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Willie Davis. And a flag is down.
Here we are facing a penalty, but we still haven't had a turnover in this ball game. We're into overtime. We've had a blocked punt.
Holding defense, number 26. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
We've had a blocked punt, but we still don't have a turnover. Rod Woodson is the guilty party. He's there working in the slot. And you can see the jersey of Willie Davis pulled all the way over his shoulder pad.
Shoulder pad popped out. That's kind of obvious.
At the 25 now, 1st and 10.
Oh, now there Joe caught Lloyd.
Lloyd coming across the line, and in effect a free play, but they can't cash in as Jonathan Hayes can't make the catch.
Yeah, that's smart work by Montana. He changed it up. He went with the longer snap count, and he caught Greg Lloyd guessing.
I think he might have had a little conversation with Paul Hackett, the offensive coordinator, when he came out last series.
Defense, number 95.
There it is.
5-yard penalty. Still
That's the
first
snap
down.
count. Montana's been going on with some regularity. You're right. He probably got it from Paul Hackett upstairs, or one of the other Kansas City coaches. And that will delay Lloyd's pass rush by half a step.
First and 5 at the 30-yard line. Montana drops it off underneath. This is Marcus Allen, and he picks up 6. And that's a 1st down. Chad Brown makes the tackle. Kansas City has it at the 36-yard line.
One good old boy, Joe Montana, relying on another good old boy, Marcus Allen. He wanted to go to McNair on a slant from the right side. He looked over there, started to deliver to McNair. He was covered. He knew exactly where Allen would be. Allen did not disappoint him.
1st and 10. The line of scrimmage, the 37. 6 minutes into overtime.
Here comes an audible. You can see everybody down there talking to each other.
Montana throws. The catch is made, and Deion Figures bouncing J.J. Burden out of bounds.
He sees Figures way off, Frank, and Joe changes up.
At the 43-yard line. Gain of 7. It'll be 2nd and 3.
As Figures laying off 10-12 yards. You can see how much he was giving away. Of course, he replaced D.J. Johnson, who was thrown out of the game. You weren't with us earlier. But you're not going to get away with that with Joe Montana.
Montana on 2nd and 3. Throwing, that's enough for a first. Jonathan Hayes makes the catch up at the 49-yard line.
Surgery.
Dink here and a little short one there, a little out. No jeopardy. High percentage stuff. We've watched it for 15 years. Jonathan Hayes, whose numbers improved remarkably with Joe Montana and offensive coordinator Paul Hackett coming here. His big year was 9 receptions. He had 24 this past season. The other tight end, Keith Cash, had also 24.
1st and 10 at the 49-yard line. Davis in motion. McNair just barely across the 50-yard line. Minimal gain. 2nd and 8 upcoming. Chiefs trying to get into Nick Lowry's field goal range, something they thought they had done as regulation ended, but Lowry missing a 43-yarder that would have won it. Will he get another chance?
But justice was served.
Mind you, again, his range, his best 58 yards, and he probably can still reach that.
And 2nd and 8. Cash. And a big money play for Keith Cash as he takes it to the 32-yard line.
This has been a big day for this fellow from Texas. Remember, Keith Cash blocked the punt that set up the Kansas City score that allowed them to tie the game, and now this play in overtime.
He gets a big-time block from Willie Davis, too, Dan, right here. There's
Yes,
Davis.
18-yard gain. They're within range for Lowry. If they don't get another yard, you're looking at a 49 or 50-yarder.
Don't say 49er with Montana in the game.
Right. Marcus Allen to the 28-yard line, tackled by Levon Kirkland.
Well, well, well.
Dan mentioned it, the longest game in the history of the NFL, Christmas Day 71, Municipal Stadium. Garo Yepremian won it for Miami 27-24.
Ed Podolak was the hero of the day that day for Kansas City.
Hank Stram walking the sidelines.
2nd and 6. Allen nowhere. 28-yard line, 3rd and 6.
Now, this is where the offensive linemen keep their hands to themselves. A holding call here, any sort of an infraction is critical, and Al, I'm setting you up.
Well, you remember it. We all remember it. The game in Miami when the Chiefs were within field goal range, and the holding call on Dave Zott pushed them just out.
Oh, on top of every play.
3rd and 6 at the 28-yard line. There's a flag, and the catch at the 19-yard line. One official looks at the other, and he says yes. J.J. Burden.
Lloyd was offsides again, so that's where we start. And then the completion.
Burden with a terrific effort. We saw him earlier. They gave him a play against Deion Figures, but he made this on his own.
Defense, number 95. Penalties decline. First down.
Well,
Lloyd again trying to read Montana.
Montana's crawled inside Greg Lloyd's head, but then he makes this throw.
Left.
Oh, and he gets it in.
That's pretty.
Boy, what a good call by the official right there. What a good call of seeing that the feet were down.
And not a bad throw.
So first down at the 18. You're looking at a 35-yard Lowry field goal from this spot if they don't get another yard. 1st and 10. Anders a yard or so to the 17-yard line, and Marcus Allen about ready to come back into the game. Lowry apparently will get another chance, and very soon.
And at this point, in the huddle, they don't even bother to say you got to hold on to it.
I wouldn't be afraid to let Montana try one into the end zone. Touchdown's a sure thing.
2nd and 9 from the 17-yard line. Allen to the 14-yard line. Now you're looking at a 31 or 32-yard field goal.
And here he comes. They're going to kick it.
On third down, here comes Lowry again.
Well, it's smart to kick it on third down in case you have a bad snap, you have any sort of a bad hold. You don't get the kick away, but as long as you cover up the ball and retain possession, you get another shot at it on fourth down.
And you'd still be within range.
Yes.
A 32-yard attempt. He's made one from 23, missed one from 43. Danny Villa to snap it, Brian Barker to hold it. And the Chiefs go to Houston.
What a game.
And the teacher beats the student.
What a way to kick off the playoffs. Bill Cowher will be back.
Well, this one ran the emotional gamut on both sides. A dominating first half by Pittsburgh. A fourth down touchdown, Montana to Barnett for Kansas City. A missed Lowry field goal in regulation, and then a made Lowry field goal. 11 minutes and 3 seconds into overtime.
The first step. Al, you said they brought him in to get them through the playoffs. He's taken one big step. Houston will not be easy.
Keith Cash playing a vital role in today's game. And with the salaries the way they are these days, it's appropriate. A guy named Cash could be a big star.